All right. We are live. Hey, what is up? What is up, everyone? Thank you for joining us on this very special night.
Very special night.
Very special night. Very, very, very special. Of course, as most of you have seen from me posting about it the last couple of weeks. Well, actually, no, the last week, because I did the last couple of weeks, is people usually don't tend to remember as much if you do it too much in advance. It's like if you do it a good week, then people are more likely to show up because they have it fresher on the mind. So today with me, I have, of course, as you all know, I've had her on before, Miss Erica McCord.
Hello.
Yes. And for the first time, and for the first time ever, we have Mr. Stan Dahlin on with us today.
Hey. And aloha, folks. Aloha.
And of course, y'all know Manny. He's been on with me a couple times.
And Manny.
The party.
Yeah, he's just here. So, this is something. Of course, this is actually something I'd wanted to do for a while, is get you two together, because it seems like you have made the rounds on with some other people, but y'all hadn't. I noticed y'all hadn't been on any streams together since this, since all this whole debacle had started, back a couple months ago. So I thought it would be interesting to get you both on together and just kind of talk about not just your experiences, obviously, with all the stuff that's happened in the last couple months, but also to talk about some convention stuff with you guys, because you all worked together on, I believe it was AWA, right? Is the convention you all worked on together. So I guess that would be a good way to start off, is how did you guys meet? Obviously, I'm assuming it was at the convention, but how did you all meet, and what was it like working together? And what are some of the experiences that you all had working together? And either one of you, whichever one of you wants to go ahead and start that off, go ahead.
Stan.
Well, Erica was a volunteer to begin with, and she decided she wanted to go into a different department. I guess after what she explained about being pushed into a door.
Yeah, slammed into the glass door.
Yeah. So she said that was enough of that, and she came to a staff meeting, and she applied for guest relations, and I interviewed her, and I think it was probably 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was a short conversation.
Short little conversation. And I said, okay, she's on staff.
Woo.
Just like that.
There you go. And it happened just like that.
It did. That's how I remember it, at least.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. And the one thing I didn't talk about was what?
The guests.
I didn't talk about the job.
Yeah.
The actual job.
Okay, so that was something that came as a surprise after the fact. Oh, by the way, you're going to be handling guests. It was
no.
It was one of
those.
No,
I mean, I applied for guest relations.
To apply for guest relations, so she knew
okay.
that she'd be, but she didn't know exactly if she was going to be in. How the organization layout for my department was. I'm the head of guest relations and the head person over the green room. Whereas Joe, who is actually the director for the green room, I was her boss. So she took care of the green room, but she reported to me. And then Erica, I was deciding whether she was going to go be in the green room or in guest relations, and I put her with guest relations. So.
Okay. So and when was this? What year was this? Do y'all remember?
Hold on. Let's see. 16.
Pause. Wait
16,
a minute.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 2009, 2008.
Wow.
Wow.
I may have interviewed in 08 and started in 09.
Yeah.
Might have been what it was.
So throughout Stan, you had stopped working. You all both pretty much had stopped working at AWA around the same time. Am I right? Or was there like a year or two off? Or
I before her.
Okay.
So
about 2. You went out in 13, and I went out in 16.
Yep.
Okay, so you all got to work together for a couple years then. Maybe 3, 4, 5 years, maybe?
Yeah, about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's good. So what were some of the most memorable things you all experienced while working at AWA? from the
That's-
times that you all were there around the same time, specifically.
Well, let's see. What you're? Shall we? Without doxing any names, seeing one of your guests in a towel.
And not just a towel, only a hand towel, and it was a male guest.
Oh my!
Did he at least put the hand towel in a diamond shape?
No, it was more just like he had the towel sort of like this in his
palm?
hand, and just and he opened the door. He didn't even like peek open the door to stick his head out. He just pull open the door.
It out. Yeah.
Wow. Who are you? What do you want?
Well done.
I will never forget that ever.
And remember, while we're on that,
Oh yeah, we got a super chat from Esme. Toy Take Banana Stand Money. Finally, you adult Manny, you were missed. Appreciate that, Esme. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
This helps
Esme.
Keep the lights on. Appreciate that. So wow. So what about? Was that the most memorable thing you remember as well, Stan? Was the whole, just one-handed towel?
Man.
Yeah, one-handed candid towel.
I didn't.
He
wasn't there for that. Yeah, he
I wasn't
there
there.
for that.
I was just referring to hers. So
he had to listen to me. That was one of my first years, and listen to me be like, because we thought the guest was dead, and we were really concerned for his safety because he came in late.
One of two guests that we thought were dead.
That year was he came in late, and we called. Yes, he's very alive and a very good person, despite whatever.
I'm sorry.
But he had come in late and he had gotten checked in, and then I was supposed to get him in the morning and take him to his first event. Got there, knocked on the door, no answer. Banged on the door, no answer. Called the cell phone, no answer. Called the hotel room, no answer. Banged on the door some more, no answer. Called his hotel room, you get the thing. And then finally I got so worried that we ended up having to call the hotel staff we were like, we need you to let us into this room because we're concerned that something has happened. And it was while the hotel staff was on the way, security was on the way to open the door for us that occurred. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, eyes up here. I was like, you're supposed to be at an autograph signing 5 minutes ago. He's like, yeah, well, I just got out of the shower. I was like, we've been trying to call you for half an hour. He's like, I unplugged the phone in the room and my phone's dead. I'm like, okay. You're still 5 minutes late for your autograph signing. I'm coming. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
He got you.
If my understanding was correctly, he took a really hot shower, and the room was really
steamy,
misty.
Yeah.
Pokemon reference.
Interesting.
No. I have no comment.
We'll just pass on that one.
Yes.
That's why. See, in a situation like that, I think I might have been a little bit more, probably would have wanted to mess with them a little bit. It's like
I was new.
No, I get it. In your position, of course, you don't want to do or say anything that might, cause trouble.
I was still just really worried he had died. Like I thought he was dead in the room, wholeheartedly.
Wow. And so since we were talking about thinking our guests were dead, the other one, he was a narcoleptic, and of course we didn't know that at the time. He didn't provide that information either, and we found out as soon as he arrived, because he had to disclose it because he forgot to bring his medication with him.
Oh Lord,
that must have been interesting. Was there ever any points?
And he was, let's see, he got there Thursday. Friday, you could tell, from every hour he was just winding down to when it got to Saturday. He had a panel early Saturday, and then we had to take him to see a doctor to get to fill out a prescription for him for a class 4 drug.
Ooh, wow.
I don't remember. I've only heard about this after the fact because I don't remember ever hearing about it at the event. Was it when I was there?
I don't know. I don't know when he was when that guest was with us at that time. Anyway,
Send me a PM with the guest name.
Okay. I won't do it
So-
right now.
Okay.
But Yuki, who's his handler.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely wasn't. That wasn't when I was there because I don't remember any Yukis.
Yeah. Or actually, Yuki or Yuko, I forget which one. That was like her first and last time she volunteered with us because he was such a handful. So that Saturday morning, trying to wake him up, couldn't get him up. We thought he was dead in his hotel room, and she acted like, the hotel staff. Oh, I'm his wife. Get into the room.
Been there, done that.
You got to do what you got to do to get to these guests.
I'm sorry.
I have been called Mrs. Mignana more times than I can count.
Oh.
Be careful now. Somebody's gonna clip that and they're gonna take it out of context and be like, "Oh, what do you mean? Like for the weekend? What happened there? Oh,
what's going on there? Mitch?
Don't give him ideas.
Yeah.
But I'm ignorant
True,
as far as the.
You shouldn't give me ideas.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it, kids. Don't do
So
it.
it's like,
Too
late. So real quick, I'm kind of ignorant when it comes to narcolepsy, and I'm so sorry if anybody suffers from that, but I find that to be one of the funnier things to suffer from, because you could be having a riveting conversation and then I ran over. Like, is there stages of it? Like, how does that really work?
Yeah, like how exactly was there points where he was actually mid conversation with anybody and started kind of like dozing off or at his table, or was it just more like he was just very tired?
Energy wise, he just, you could see it hit him draining. Like the Energizer Bunny with his meter going down real low.
Okay.
Narcolepsy is not like people think of it as someone falling asleep, but what actually happens is they have like partial or total muscle control loss and just
whoa.
Like it's not like they're sitting in a chair and they just fall asleep. It's like their body just completely goes out.
Oh, it shuts off like it shuts off.
So yeah,
right.
When she found him in the hotel room, she thought he had died.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you can have sleep paralysis with it. You can just have like episodes. You can have hallucinations. Narcolepsy causes hallucinations, things like that.
Wow.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I know Rekida's mentioned that he suffers from it, and
from
a form of it. But his, I think, is more like he just gets really, really, really like tired, like really like yawning a lot, and just like really like just kind of like daisy.
Well, then that doesn't sound fun at all. So, Snorlax, no.
No.
Yeah.
Speaking of Snorlax, would you guys like to see part 1 of what I brought to show the group today?
Oh, you do it. It's show and tell time, guys. Get ready.
In honor of Pokemon Sword and Shield release, Mr. Doughnut, a donut chain in Japan, has released limited edition donuts, and this is the first one called the Pokeball.
Boom.
So that's a donut?
It is. Just give me a second. So it's got this little thing in the cardboard piece in the center to make it look like a Pokeball. But yeah, this is a ringed donut.
Oh my goodness. That's not keto friendly.
Nope. Well, actually, it's made with tofu. So Mr. Doughnut's donuts are made with tofu. So let's see.
Excited.
How's it taste?
Describe the texture, Erica. What are you feeling?
What's up, Donnie Pearson? And what's up, See the Wave? How y'all
doing?
So
they're not like American donuts. American donuts just sort of melt in your mouth or they're cakey. Right. These are quite mochi. They're chewy. And so they're like, that's why I was like chomp, 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 because you actually have to really chew them to get through them. They're very chewy. So the white icing is just vanilla flavored. Let's see, the red icing. Strawberry.
What a wonderful dilemma.
You know, people are going to be DMing you to send them those.
No, excuse me. I had to stand in line. I was almost late to come to this because they only released them at 11 o'clock. And there was already a huge line to get them.
AM or PM?
It's AM. It's noon here right now.
Okay,
so I would. At 11 a.m. Yeah, the store opens at 9, but they don't put the donuts out until these donuts out until 11. So like I was like standing there. I'm like, I've got to get these donuts. I want to show them off during the show. And there
you
are
go.
2 more that will be revealed throughout the course of the evening, afternoon. I don't know. It's afternoon for me, but
Yeah, it's evening for us over here, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes,
So remember,
we
folks,
do a donut reveal.
if you wanted to see more donuts and deliciousness from Japan, stay tuned.
that's right. Part 2 coming up.
Yeah.
And no, to the person in the chat, they don't taste anything like Krispy Kreme. They're not made the same way. They don't have the same texture. They don't have the same taste. They're not very sweet, but
But it still tastes good.
yeah, they're quite good. They're not like sugar explosion in your mouth. They're just sort of a lot lighter flavor.
Now you say they're made of tofu. So when it was was it delivered in an 8.6?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry.
So Stan, I assume you've also been to Japan at different points in time as well, right?
Only once.
Only once?
Yep. Back in 2001. So it was late September and was a couple weeks before AWA. So when I had a store. So I went there specifically to visit my friend, my ex-roommate here in Georgia, many, many moons back, and who's living in Japan, still currently living in Japan. And
where do they live at? I'll go harass them. I mean, I'll go say hi.
Hey, you're Stan's friend. He said I could come over and it'd be okay.
well, when I
Can I borrow a cup of rice?
when I visited him, he was living in Urawa City in near Tokyo.
Oh, okay.
So, but he recently moved, so I'm not sure where he is now.
So Stan,
he works for Eon.
Oh, nice. Boom.
Yeah. Really?
So Stan, for people that don't know in the chat, just in case I'm pretty sure everyone at this point is familiar with both of you from all the stuff that's happened, but just in case for people that don't know in the chat, what was your official title at AWA? Just so people could kind of understand a little bit more your position and what it was, the things that you oversaw while you were there. Because they already know, since I've had Erica on before, they know about her role in guest relations.
My public position was guest relations director.
Okay.
But I was also part of the board of AWA. So, or as they say, an admin. So I was upper tier management, not just the guest relations director.
Yeah.
I have a question for Stan.
Oh.
You don't have to answer this, but did you get paid in that job as a board member?
No.
That's what I thought. I was just curious.
Yeah, there was only one person getting paid, and it wasn't me, or any of the other board members.
Oh, I was going to say, did it start with a L?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And just so you know, for those of you in chat that are wondering about that, that's actually very common in conventions. Usually the only person getting paid is the person that's putting the show together in a lot of cases. It's very rare, unless it's like a super mega convention, like that's getting like,
like
maybe
AX or something.
Yeah, like AX or like, a mega con or something like that. Chances are the people at the top, even the people closest to the top aren't getting paid. Like I said, unless it's a huge convention, it's usually only the promoter and maybe, like I said, maybe one or two other people. A lot of times it's not that way. A lot of times people that are a part of a board or part of administration are not getting paid. They're basically, they're volunteers with a lot more responsibility, that are basically doing it purely out of passion. And
almost no one is paid.
Yeah.
So I mean, in your own words, Stan, I mean, what's just the candid question.
Sure.
What's the benefit in it aside from meeting maybe somebody that you've always wanted to meet or being part of the event? Why do it? What's the amenities or the perks of it?
Oh, for me, it was just get to see an anime creator or maybe the voice, because I've always been an anime fan, but it's gotten to the point when you get older, you got less time to watch anime.
Yep.
And anime never stops coming out.
Yep.
More and more titles comes out. I mean, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it I know exactly what you mean, because and the thing is, and I don't know, like for me, and I'm sure because you did it for pretty much how many years consecutively did you do it, Stan? For at least, I know for sure more than 10 years, but how many years specifically were you involved in conventions? Because you also founded your own convention as well.
Yes, I 18 years with AWA.
Wow.
And then when I was doing AWA, I was doing 5 other shows on top of that.
Wow.
Plus working a regular job.
Dang. See, that's dedication right there.
You're a beast, sir. You're a beast.
Loki.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like a lot of it is just that it's passion, because for me it was that, and then but with that comes after a certain point in time, and I think it's different for everybody, but after a certain point in time when things start to change and not necessarily for the better, you get that disillusionment with that side of
such a money sink. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Just the hotel rooms, especially if your convention doesn't give you any sort of discount or any kind of reimbursement, just the hotel room alone is exorbitant. The last time I stayed at the main host hotel for AWA, I think the rooms were in the high 100s.
Oof.
And for guest relations, you usually have to, and at that point, AWA had moved to a 4-day, I'd say a 3.5-day convention. They say 4-day, but it's like the middle of Thursday when I was there.
Yeah,
but you have to be there on Wednesday when the guests come in, and you have to stay until Monday when the guests go out a lot of the time. So
yeah,
it's just so expensive.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, I've been there before. What sucks?
You weren't around when some of them left on a Tuesday or a Wednesday after the show.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's some of we just couldn't stay that long. I think the longest I ever stayed I stayed until a Tuesday one time, but that was just so that I could enjoy the hotel amenities, because there's that amazing spa in the Waverly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the few things. I think one of the few benefits is where the location might be at, and of course some of the other things that come with it. Getting to meet some of the people that you either have you've always wanted to meet, for either because they were a creator that inspired you or whatever, just because you have a passion for it, or just again the location sometimes works out great. Like for us, I mean, I think one of the where we were doing the show at was right across from Universal Studios, so there's all that, I mean, and then a lot of times the people that were part of, there was a lot of people on staff that either worked there as well, and they got tickets. So that was another thing, like, oh, we'll log, hey, after the show on such and such day, let's go to Universal this week, after the show is done and stuff like that. So that was part of the benefit, I guess, of working there and being, real towarist the area.
Oh,
yeah, well, and you can't beat Hawaii, so like.
Oh yeah, and that's is that where Kauai Con is that Stan, or that's in Hawaii, or
Honolulu, Hawaii?
Okay,
nice.
What were you gonna ask?
No, I was just gonna say, if you guys are cool with it, because Stan mentioned he likes to watch anime, and I agree with you. As you get older, you don't get a lot of. But would it be nice towards the end of the stream tonight, just to put the pin here? Can we kind of compare on what our current animes is and what we're watching currently? Is that can we do that?
Oh, I haven't been able to watch anything yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, literally, my list would be 0.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about some stuff towards the end. We'll talk a little bit of anime, man. It's always good to hear what the classic anime fans like, and I try to keep up to date as much as I can. But
Yeah. So one thing I had asked Erica last time she was on, Stan, I think you might have been in the chat for that, was, and I guess I'll ask you directly now that you're here. There have been people that have, and I'm sure you've had this experience for not just with the situation that kind of brought you guys in the public eye, but also there's this has happened with obviously people that have been talking about the situation publicly, but there's somebody in particular that it goes by the name, or they have given this person the name Manjaw, that has said some things publicly about one one Vic Mignogna. Now, this is not so much about Vic, but overall people like that kind of speak about things that happen at conventions that, you know, claim to be staffers, like, but they portray themselves as being so much more in the know than they actually are. Now, this is something that I've experienced a lot in, you know, working at the convention that I was a part of for 6 years, was people kind of just kind of selling their position at the show as being much more important than what it actually was. So what I wanted to ask you about was, aside from that particular person, which we could comment on later, how many instances have you experienced, you know, throughout your, you know, career of doing conventions and stuff, where people have kind of tried to like abuse I won't say really abuse power, but try to portray themselves and try to make it seem like they're in a much bigger position of power? How often has that happened in conventions you've been a part of? And has there ever been any instances where that might have caused problems at any particular shows?
Padding the old resume, baby. Padding that resume.
There was one time a gentleman claimed he was on staff and he could get certain attendees a special rate on you know, getting tickets, and he wasn't exactly the I mean, he was associated with the group, but he didn't have a position of power to authorize such a discounted rate on tickets, and that did cause problems. Trying to think of I know of an assistant director who got into a conversation online with a person while they were playing some online game. I think it was like chess or cards or whatnot, and they were talking about one of our upcoming guests, and that guest, or the person she was talking to, happened to be a close friend of that guest, and so that conversation ended up going to that guest, and then that guest calling, well, in this case, emailing me saying what that conversation was about.
Oof.
And it wasn't a pleasant conversation.
I bet.
And they got the name of the person who was, and they thought it was a joke name. And then when they told it to me, I'm like, oh God, I know exactly who that person is, and yes, that's their real name, because it was. They were flabbergasted, and I'm like, oh, you know, egg on my face, and I'm like not really happy, and I don't know if you were. No, you weren't there because that was a director's meeting. End of the convention, we have a post-con meeting with all the directors and the board, and we would have a talk about what went right, what went wrong, what we're going to do for the following year, and I addressed the entire crowd and let them know that you know, you should pay attention to who you talk to online, because you might be talking to a friend of the guest or the guest themselves, and your conversation to them was not very pleasant, and you should be more mindful of that, because you are representing the group. And I forget what exactly she said, but I ended up telling the group that if you didn't know already, Greg Ayers was gay. So what you said to them was not exactly appropriate.
Okay.
So
Lord,
they didn't
Greg
know
Ayers.
that, and
How did you not know Greg Ayers was gay?
well,
Oh my.
They weren't listening.
Or looking, or
Jeez.
well, anyway, that person, I was staring at that person at the meeting, so I didn't say their name, but yeah,
You let them know that you knew.
yeah, I
Who
knew
was
exactly who it was.
Yeah,
And
you let
I
them
made
know.
it. I told everyone in the room that the person's in the room.
Wow.
Wow.
That's it.
There you go.
So am I incorrect to say this? This is a question for you, Erica, regarding Stan. Is Stan the type of person who speaks softly but carries a very, very big tree trunk light stick?
I don't know. One time, I distinctly recall Stan losing his stuff with us with a particular prank that happened over the walkie-talkie system, which I had no part in, but a certain guest that we all know and love did. So,
Wow.
Oh yeah, they got onto the main walkie-talkie system, and they did it on the main channel, which goes to everybody.
that was the whole point.
And
Awful.
Sunday morning, this drama play starts going on over the airwaves, and I'm like, what the hell?
It's a
is
zombie
this?
apocalypse drama play that one of the staffers had written, and it's actually a published book now. But
You guys got a sneak preview.
So and then after that happened, then we have the first aid group
losing their mind.
losing their minds, and then having wheelchair races.
What
to
was
the
that
hotel.
was that them, or was that I heard that
it was them.
was it, because I heard that a certain at that time AD and not an AD after that was involved in that, who was certainly not in medical.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, because both sides were not very happy with.
Yeah, that year a lot of that was also the year that the kids got hit by the car, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love how this cat just flows.
That year we had there was one year where it was like fire and brimstone raining down the entire weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so next to the convention center for AWA, there is a massive, like, 8-lane highway, and there is a sky bridge that goes across it. And it's not busy or anything like that. It's quite large. But these attendees decided that they were going to play Frogger, more or less, and run across the road to try to get to the neighboring hotel, and they didn't make it.
Oh, jeez.
Did it go?
No, I was in my hotel. I was staying at the Sheraton, which is across the street. And although we were supposed to turn our walkie-talkies in when we were done, I never did because someone always needed me for something. So I had my walkie-talkie on, and I was just listening to the chatter when it came across, and I was like, oh. And I looked out the window, and I was like, oh my God, because my room looked out onto the highway, and it was, I remember that was bad.
Wow. See, I don't think we ever had anything that extreme happen when I was working at Ranger Stop. I think one year though, it was the year before. It was like 2 years ago. I remember that I had gone to ask one of the hotel staff to bring a table that we could put in one of the panel rooms. Mm-hmm. So the guy he's walking, he goes and grabs a table. He's walking down the hallway, and then he hits a pipe. He hits a pipe overhead as he's carrying the table, and it's a water pipe. So he just kink, and then and then the water just starts coming down, and I'm just like watching this happen. But the thing is, it's the hallway right next to the exhibition floor. So the water starts flowing into the exhibition floor. All right. So mind you, people have stuff set up that's even on the floor. So this water starts creeping in, and it's a lot. And you hear people, get your stuff off the floor, get your stuff off the floor. And this is right before we opened on Friday, by the way, like an hour right before we're supposed to open the doors. Okay. So this water's in it, and all these vendors are scrambling to get their stuff, any stuff that they had set up close to the floor or on the floor, off the floor, so it doesn't get wet. And I'm just like, I'm watching, I'm hearing all this go on, and I'm like, you know, I leave because I'm just like, oh man, this is. I felt responsible because I asked him to get the table. It wasn't my fault, but it was just kind of like, you know.
Was that the year that they had the origami vendor?
No. That would have been horrible. But yeah,
floating swans everywhere.
But I remember that's like the extent. You know, you're telling us somebody's been hit by a car, and like the worst thing that happened was that water was going into our exhibition room.
Yeah, we ain't got nothing on you.
You're talking about
I mean, like we could keep going.
We talk about wheelchair races and people get hit by cars at your convention. I'm just wondering now I'm really intrigued as to what the hell else went on over
regarding the
wheelchairs. At that convention.
Are we talking standard wheelchairs or hover rounds?
Or scooters? What are we talking about here?
What are we talking about here?
Electronic wheelchairs? What was it?
No, we're talking about medical wheelchairs.
So yeah, the rolly kind.
Just the standard.
That makes it even funnier. Sorry, go on. No breaks. Go on.
Wow. It's just like I don't have anything that good to tell about the time I was working at this convention. It's just like all these elaborate things that should only happen in like a Jackass movie.
I was about to say that because when we were kids, was it you or me that came up with the idea of going down the railway, not the railway, but the thing in the shopping cart?
Oh, that I don't know. That I wouldn't be surprised whichever one of us came up.
We did a lot.
We did a lot of stupid stuff.
So. I mean, I definitely did some dumb stuff, but that was before cameras and the internet. And anything I did at conventions was always done in events where it was like everybody has to put their phone over here. No one's allowed to touch their phones during these events.
Smart.
So
very smart.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
So the zombie apocalypse thing, Stan, you were not too pleased. You didn't like it.
Supposedly, someone asked me permission and.
Well, what were you gonna do? Go up there and yell at Vic? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you?
Well, it wasn't Vic that asked me. It was a staffer that supposedly asked me.
The one who wrote it?
I don't know.
Stevenson?
No.
Because he's the one that wrote it.
No, I was thinking it was more like a director.
Oh, well, that would have probably then been, oh my God. Tall.
Hernan,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So back when
y'all, everybody's getting names this time.
No,
Yeah.
we just he
just doxed everybody.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well,
I promised the Kiwis I wasn't redacting any names this time for the good stuff. So
there you go. Well, speaking of that, since you're bringing up, I mean, and not necessarily that you even have to say their names. Around the time that y'all were there around the same time. I mean, I know Stan, you were there a little bit sooner, but this one happened to be around the time there was one. We'll just, for the sake of this stream, we'll just call him Fievel. Is that a good name? I think
call that mofo by his name. His name is Faisal Ahmed.
Mr. Faisal, is it Faisal Ahmed?
Faisal.
Was this?
You don't get to hide. I've decided that none of those people in that camp get to hide anymore. Marlon decided he was going to come up into Stan's thread and call me a liar. So I decided to let everybody know who he was. I'm done playing with this nonsense. If y'all want to come and attack people, you're going to have your names put out there.
Oh, this is where I wish I had that little clip of the dudes going, going crazy. So,
no, it's the Jehovah's Witnesses.
They're being what they exist over there.
Yeah, I have a video doorbell. I have a video doorbell right there. I'm looking.
Wow, that's
Oh no.
Wow, I'm almost. I was trying to keep it down then a little bit, but so Stan, this was around the. So I'm assuming he was there around this particular time where Erica was also there and you were there.
Yeah, we've all been there. I mean, Stan and Faisal were there before me, but
yeah, Faisal was actually he started in gaming.
Mm.
Okay,
and then became the gaming director.
But you were there even
at some
before
point
him, though, right?
Moved. I don't know what happened. He left, and I think he was going to school.
No, Would you like to know a fun fact?
Oh, here we go.
A certain incident occurred at the same time that he moved to LA to go to school.
Yeah, that's right.
The dates match up. So
Hmm.
he moved to LA about the same time as he got that thing about reporting a false police report. It's just something I've noticed.
Wow.
Interesting timing.
Which would make sense, which is why they were never able to find him because he moved to LA.
Nice.
Almost like he kind of knew.
I'm just saying that it's a correlation. I'm not saying it's causation. It's just a correlation.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, there's some people that have been saying hi in the chat. I haven't around to it.
Yeah, just for everyone. Yes. Hello to everybody in the
Hola.
chat. Nova Zero, what's up? Yeah. So if we don't get a chance to say hello, particularly, just hello to everybody. Dottie Pearson, See the Wave, Devil Hunter Nero, Dave Marks,
Jason
SB, of course,
Ham.
Nova Zero. Yes, Jason Hammer Time.
Hammer
is in
time,
the chat.
baby.
Hammer time.
Yeah. We'll try to keep it going. So, well, speaking of Mr. Faisal, then, so Stan, you were there, but you were at AWA before he was there, right? Or did you all start
Yes.
around the same time? Okay, so
No, he was not around when it first started.
Okay, so he came on.
He came later.
He came later, and then he, I guess, left at some point in time, and then came back. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess since you both have worked with him, at different, around the same time as well, what was your, I guess, initial impression of him?
Stan, you go first.
Well, I had the problem of trying to remember his name, so I kept calling him Fievel.
But he went west. It's 100% true.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So Fievel.
And then eventually, I have a problem with people's names, and if I don't know your name, I know what you look like. So, but I have putting face to name. Have that. I don't know if you know the Page brothers, Erica.
The Page brothers?
Yeah, probably not.
Is that their real names? Because the only brothers I know are
that's the last name, Page.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know the Page brothers. The only brothers I know are the Merrill brothers.
Yeah, the Matt and Page. I always had the problems distinguishing the two of them, and they're not twins. And with that, I keep calling the one Matt Dan, and then Dan Matt, and
sounds like Stan has my problem.
Yeah, he does. He's notorious for that.
Awful,
for getting it. But lately, I've been pretty bad about that too. For some reason, I don't know why.
Blame it on me.
Yeah.
Don't blame it on me. Blame it on age.
No, it wasn't age. It's just something that I just had problems with. I blame my mother, because my mother would say, you're in trouble, and if you have more than one sibling, it's like going down the line before you get to the right person.
There you go.
That's very. My dad used to do that all the time. I have a brother named Juan and another brother named Victor, and then Carlos. Literally, my father would go, Juan Cal Victor Manuel, and I'm like, yeah, you got it, one of them right, sure.
Down the line, eventually you'll come to the right.
You'll get to the right person.
Yeah, you'll come to the right kid if you just say all their names. That's hilarious. So initially you couldn't get his name
when he was staffer wise. He was fine. He got to the director's position because he went to Lloyd and basically I just docked Lloyd, and
no, nobody gets to hide anymore. Everybody gets names.
Well,
everyone's gonna get it.
Just blame it on me. Tell them Erica made you do it.
No, he just blamed it on his mom.
Oh.
He went to the president and basically said, here's the problem with the video gaming or the gaming department, and he said he could fix it, and so he became the gaming director, and for at least a couple of years he'd done a pretty good job with that department, so well that attendance was so high that they had to build these huge fans, basically taking 2 box fans and stacking them on top of them, and made a rack to hold them up to air out the rooms, because it was so hot
So hot. Hmm.
and smelly.
Just
That's true.
keep it real.
It
Just gotta
happens.
keep it. Just gotta
keep it real.
Just gotta keep it real.
There are some gamers that got some good BO.
So yeah,
Some ripe BO.
right.
Yeah,
So we
I've
had
never
that-
understood. I've never understood how he went from director of gaming to owning everything. Like,
Well,
That's something I'm not going to talk about.
okay. I mean, I know
I
about.
mean, I can tell you about it, but
Yeah, I mean, I know he bought. I know he bought out. I know that he dumped all of his personal money into AWA to make it solvent again, and then between he and Marlon, they own about 51% of AWA. But like because that came from him. He told me that.
right.
And I've got the receipts to prove it, as they say. But yeah, I just I never understood how the guy from gaming suddenly became the guy that owns AWA.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't have to get
thank
into
Marlon for that one.
Yeah.
And not burned
yeah.
down.
You don't have to go into details though about it because I mean I've seen that happen. Sometimes it's I've seen it happen with some of the promoters out over here. Sometimes when somebody's able to sell themselves well enough, or they just they got the money and the other person is just not wanting to do it anymore. They'll just they just won't care. They'll take a payday and they'll just leave, which sucks. And that happens because I've seen a lot of good conventions go downhill because of that. When it's just like, oh, you're going to offer me how much? Oh, I guess I might as well retire. Sure. I'll take it.
Sure. But the way that it sounds from you guys, did it kind of catch you guys off guard?
It caught me off guard. I know it didn't catch. I don't know about Stan, but
yeah, it caught me off guard because I was on the board. So yeah. So yeah.
Orale.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, so obviously, I mean, so this guy comes pretty much out of nowhere, takes over everything. In your opinion, because obviously at some point in time, Erica, when you were on last time, you kind of explained how things kind of went. I guess I would assume it was around the time that whole transition happened where things really started to kind of change, and I know you kind of lost the passion to be a part of that show anymore. And it seems like, Stan, you said you were out before Erica was.
When I put in my resignation at the post-con meeting in 2013, following that year's AWA, the first thing that they did, because it was like I waited to the end of the meeting and then handed in my written resignation. And the first thing they did was find out how many of his department is leaving too, because they wanted to see if I had talked to all my department people and tried to convince them to leave as well. That was their main concern, was how much damage did Stan do when he resigned.
Wow.
And I didn't talk to anybody. Nobody knew I was going to resign. I had already decided, after the show that this was going to be it for me, and I didn't talk to anybody else. Nobody knew what I was going to do until I did it.
Wow.
Well done.
So wait. So I mean, what would even make them think that you would, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, poison the well or try to sabotage them? I mean, had there been some kind of confrontation with you and them beforehand? Was there just y'all just didn't get along and they thought that for some reason you would be spiteful and maybe try to throw a monkey wrench, I guess, in the gears there? I mean, or was it just, or is this something that even you are not certain about why they would think that?
Well, given who it is, this was the new owners, and I made it very clear that I was not happy with the new owners. So yeah, they were thinking I was going to be spiteful. Huh?
Wow.
yeah, I found out. I'm looking at it right here on my
She's
my
looking
phone.
at her receipts.
Yeah, I got a message on October 18th of 2013 from Faisal asking me if I'd talked to Stan recently. And then he said Stan submitted his resignation from AWA. He submitted his letter to Lloyd personally. And fun fact, I would like you guys to just take a look at this. The beginning of this conversation starts with, from me, so I heard that Vic is banned from AWA. And Faisal answers, no, who said that?
Really?
Just FYI.
That's interesting.
Just FYI. So that's, yeah. But yeah, that's when I found out. I found out by message from Faisal. So
Did he
Wow.
just think it would catch on the way it did? Like, why answer that way? Sorry.
I have no idea. Well, no, because at this point I had been Vic's handler quite regularly. And I heard another staffer quite far up in the chain of command was talking to me and told me, yeah, Vic got banned this year. And so I messaged Faisal and asked him, I was like, so word on the street is that Vic got banned from AWA. And Faisal said no. So as of 2013, apparently he wasn't, I don't know.
Okay, so just real quick, just TLJ screw job. I did not hear about that, but thank you for that update. That's something that I'm sure that we'll also talk about here on the stream for a little bit. But thank you for that update, man.
We see
Appreciate
you
it.
guys. We see you guys.
Yeah, we're seeing you guys when you guys say stuff. Just so if we don't respond immediately, it's just it's not because we're ignoring. Just
Oh, he got fired.
Yeah,
Wow.
about time, right? It's about time, right? So just on that real quick, because I know that you had tweeted about this. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Now at this point, Stan, you had gone back. You went to AWA to visit some friends. Maybe you could, of course, you don't have to tell us everything, just the stuff you're comfortable talking about. But you went back to visit some friends recently at AWA.
Oh yeah, some old friends, actually just attendees that I've known for decades now. They've been there from the very beginning of the very start of AWA, and at that time he met his wife at AWA, and they got married, and they had 4 kids.
Wow.
And got to meet all of them, and got to watch them grow up. And good God Almighty, they gotten big, and I'm feeling old. Because like my daughter volunteered for AWA as well, and worked with Erica when she was older, and she's 35. So yeah, we just hanged out. I got my badge and was wandering around, and of course Courtney said, "Did you get a badge?" I said, "Yeah, I got a badge."
Yeah, I saw her.
Considering that that almost every entryway, doorway is covered by some form of security, whether it be con staffer or convention center security, and rent-a-cops, and I'm not talking about actual cops, but rent security.
Yeah.
Some Paul Blarts.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were all checking badges.
Yeah, I saw her little snarky comment.
Yeah.
You're like, didn't you literally say that you talked to Paul or you saw Paul? So like, obviously, if you hadn't had a badge, I think Paul is the kind of person he would have just thrown you out. So.
Well, the last time I had gone to AWA, I had walked behind the main stage, and it was through an area through the dealer's room, which I was like, this is really weird that this entryway would be open and no one watching it. And so I walked there and walked right in the back and said hello.
Oh yeah, there's ways to sneak into AWA if you know them all.
Said hello to the guest, and Faisal was there, and Faisal was like horrified. He's like, what the hell is he doing here? And why is he back here, back behind the main stage? And so I saw his face, and I said hello to him, said hello to the guests that I wanted to see, one in particular, and then I left out the same way I came in. And it turned out he had contacted security, and so the director and the assistant director went looking for me, to throw me out.
That was this year, right?
I could imagine seeing Paul do that for sure.
And that was this year, right? That was what you went
No,
over.
no, not this year. This
This
was
is another time.
several years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But this year, I played it low key. Wasn't causing any trouble. Wasn't trying to. So.
Just a paying customer coming through. Just or
That's pretty
just
awesome.
a regular attendee this year. That's low key. No, that's fine. I mean, well, that's one thing. Yeah, I saw some of that interaction that you had online, and I was curious about it because the person you were speaking to, I guess you all said is Faisal's wife, I guess, or
Yes.
She's also the head of media.
She had a media, or she moved away from doing all the scheduling of events.
I'm pretty sure that she's in charge of like the social media accounts.
And she was trying to say like if she had seen you, she would have kicked you out. But you had actually seen her, right, Stan?
I nearly ran into her.
And she's
like, I don't recall.
So I don't know how you could have missed me. I nearly ran you over.
But it wants to pull the. I didn't see you. It's just like it's funny because all these people they're willing to talk tough or try to act assertive after they've they're in the safety of being online. Like, well, if I had seen you, I would have kicked you out.
Yeah, all
the
bravery's right here.
Yeah, exactly. All the bravery is in the fingertips after the fact. So, it doesn't sound like even from the interaction that you had with her online. I mean, you're not banned, are you? I mean,
no telling.
Yeah. What about you, Erica? Have they said you're banned, you can never come back?
No one has. No. After that coward put my name in that affidavit, he had his entire staff block me.
Yeah, there you go.
So and the only one who's cared to make any comment has been Marlon when he came into that thread, and I just shut that shit down.
Shut it down.
So I guess this is the way to segue into all this because you all were both brought into this pretty much unexpectedly. Nobody gave either of you a heads up when they decided when this whole Vic debacle started earlier this year. Nobody contacted you guys in advance to at least give you the courtesy of saying, "Hey, listen, this is what's happening. I'm going to file this affidavit and I'm just letting I'm putting it out there that, this, that, or the other, like no kind of communication, right? Prior to any of that happening for either of you. Am I right?
Zero.
None whatsoever.
So
that's bananas.
Y'all were basically not even knowingly just thrust into this kind of spotlight that neither of you asked for without even the courtesy of being, of getting any kind of heads up. So
yeah, I didn't know. Stan's the one that messaged me. He's like, "Hey, have you seen this?"
To at least Stan reached out. Yeah. So, but with all that happening, I guess what's the experience been like since then? I mean, because this has been going on, of course, since back as far as February. I can't remember when exactly they signed their affidavits. Maybe it was somewhere around April. I want to say April, right? Does that sound right?
March.
Well, in the case of Monica, her thing was not until about June, late June.
Okay. Was it? Yeah. Was it that late? For some reason, I was thinking it was earlier.
Well, that's because they were too busy, avoiding Vic's lawyer and not producing any evidence, stuff like that. Playing this game. I'm sorry, that's my words. They were playing a game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was around June or so, and then that's when I found out. Well, actually, right before July is when I found out about it.
So when you found out about it, Stan, when you found out that you were being talked about by Monica and people around her. Did you try to reach out to her and be like, "Hey, what's this all about? Why are you
What are you doing?
why are you putting my name out there? Why?"
No, I didn't. I wanted to find out first what was going on, because I heard about this legal fight between Monica and Vic. So I wanted to find out first what was it about, and
Just
then
not,
also figure out why the hell did you tell this story.
Yeah.
yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah, and Erica, in your case, did you try to reach out to Faisal, or by then were you already blocked or whatever? Or...
I did. As soon as Stan sent me the clip of the affidavit, I flipped on Facebook Messenger. I flipped over, typed in Faisal's name, clicked on it. It was like, you cannot contact this person. And then I was like, huh. And then I looked up the new director of guest relations, Natalie, and I was like, oh, you cannot contact this person, huh? And then I looked up Marlon. It was like, huh, you cannot contact this person. And I was like,
Worse than Twitter.
That is
worse than Twitter.
That is some buttersoft bitch made shit.
Yeah. So then I immediately I read everything that was in the affidavit, and I sat down and I went through and like highlighted each of the points, and I was like, I made my little list, and then I reactivated my Twitter account because I hadn't used it in 3 or 4 years, and put out that first statement that I put out. And then I went through and literally unfriended every single person that was related to the anime convention scene that I was friends with on Facebook. I sent everybody messages of people that I'm friends with that are directors at other events or were directors or are working conventions. I was like, hey, until this blows over, this is my private Facebook where I post how I feel about stuff, and I can't have you guys on here because I'm probably going to be posting some stuff that I don't want spread all over the internet, because I'm really, really, really pissed off about this.
Yeah, I could imagine how, frustrating that would be. And not just that, I mean, again, that's also a smart move to make, because at that point, you don't really know who you can trust, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you don't know.
There's one person that I've kept from the convention scene who's still active in the convention scene. The only reason I've kept him is because I know that Faisal screwed him over just as badly as he screwed over all of us, and I know he doesn't like Faisal. So
yeah.
Wow.
So Stan, for you, was it kind of the same? Did they block you as well? The people that had ties to AWA, did they kind of do the same thing where they kind of just all simultaneously blocked you and just ceased all contact?
Some of the folks that she mentioned, they weren't part of my my circle anyway. So
Okay.
I have their contact information, but not on any social media. So I had dropped Marlon off a long time ago, long before all this stuff happened.
yeah, they're a duo, by the way. Faisal and Marlon. They are the snake oil selling duo of the anime convention world.
These two are the current owners of AWA, right?
Yeah, together they own half.
Okay.
And Kawaii Con and Anime Crossroads when they owned that, and Izumi Con when they owned that. They sold Anime Crossroads and Izumi Con. But they owned all 4 of them, at least controlling shares of all 4 of them at one point.
Okay. So since you were there recently, Stan, what have you, I mean, obviously you didn't agree with these people becoming the owners, but what are the biggest noticeable differences in AWA now, I guess, as opposed to how it was when, I guess it was, the glory days for when you were there? What are the most like significant differences that you noticed with the changing of the guard?
Well, Faisal likes to flaunt the idea that he knows a whole bunch of Japanese people, a lot of industry folks, and so the guest lineup is his doing. So he invites all those people, and he had told me at one time that he likes going to Japan in Christmas time because he's a heathen, and that was his words. He likes to go into Japan during Christmas time, and then they start like in January, after the New Year, to start working on the guest list. So
Yeah, he and Marlon fly to Japan quite often.
Órale.
That's interesting. So he
But don't they
So I
celebrate
guess-
Christmas in Japan? Sorry, just
They,
Yeah,
they
that-
do,
I
but
was
not
thinking that too.
religious. It's not religious. It's just Santa Claus and reindeer and Christmas cakes.
okay.
oh, he wasn't referring when he mentioned it. He wasn't referring it as to like how the Japanese do it. He was referring to himself as the heathen.
Interesting. So this is a guy obviously that you both had personal interactions with, having worked with him in the past. I mean, were there? I obviously saying you didn't trust him. I think that's fair to say, right? At this point, you didn't trust him. Doesn't seem like you were very confident in the direction where the show was going with him being at the helm and stuff. But I guess this would be for you, Erica. When did you kind of get a sense like, this guy's kind of shifty? I don't know.
I don't know. They fucked me over as soon as Stan left. I had been with AWA at that point for quite some time. And when Stan left, we lost all of our handlers, not because he took them, but because nobody wanted to come back and work with these people. Only one of our original American guests. We have two departments. We have a Japanese guest handler department and an American guest handler department. And none of the American guest handlers, except for one and myself, came back. And then they just, when they came in, it was like everything I had done, all the time and effort I had put into the convention didn't matter anymore. They brought in some woman I had never met, which is Natalie, to run the convention or to run guest relations. And she micromanaged the ever-loving Jesus out of us. It was just like, and she had never been at AWA before, so she would tell us to do things. And I'm like, well, that's not logistically feasible at this event. And it was horrible. And that first year I quit. I was like, you know what? I told them, I was like, I don't think I'm going to come back next year. And then right before the next show started, they were still really shorthanded. And I was like, well, I kind of want to go to the event. And a certain voice actor that I've always wanted to handle finally went. And I was like, well, I'll go if I was like, do you guys still need help? I was like, I'll come back if you'll let me handle this guest. And they're like, yeah, okay. But yeah, I just got treated like garbage, despite the fact that I, at that time, would have had seniority in the department.
Yeah.
And it was just, it made me so, and it still did. And then this stuff happened. And it was like, okay, well, we're going to make you an AD next year. And then that didn't happen. And then the last year I was there, after they knew that I was leaving and moving to Japan, they made me an official AD. But then they're like, well, we don't provide any kind of, I told them, I was like, I will be willing to take the time off work in Japan to come back and do this as an AD, but I would need a little bit of help, with hotel or stuff like that. And they were just like, well, we don't provide anything like that. And only for directors, we don't provide any airfare, and we provide half of your hotel for directors only. And I was like, well, then why the fuck did you make me an AD? You knew I was leaving.
Yeah. It's almost, yeah, exactly. So it could be like, oops.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, yeah, all of the original handler staff that was there when Stan was there left. So,
yeah. So I mean, it's pretty obvious how they, when they took over, how much they valued seniority at that point. Was there anybody that was brought in to work with you, Stan, that they were just like, hey, look, this is so and so, you got to work with them now? I know you pretty much got out as soon as everything was going on, but was there ever a time like where they were, or around that year, basically the year that you were leaving, was there anything beforehand that they tried to do, like where they said, hey, Stan, we're bringing somebody to do this, that, or the other, can you work with them, or anything like that? Was there any of that going on your end, where they tried to basically put you in a position where you were either not comfortable with working with somebody, or they were trying to kind of put somebody in your camp that would have not like fit in, kind of like what happened with Erica there?
They brought somebody in by a person named Ruby, but I already I knew her before, worked with her before, so I know what she was like. So that wasn't, we got along quite well. Didn't have any problems with that. But my main concern was because Faisal was leaning towards more Japanese guests, and also deciding who on the American side was going to be picking. I'm like, well, then what's my role going to be like? Am I just going to be there just to babysit all his guests? I don't get to say as to who. I mean, I pretty much didn't have hardly any say in the guests that year. The last year I was there, other than who I had already invited the previous year.
So you basically had a title, but no real, they had basically taken the rug out from under you. No real decision.
Well, that's what it would have been the following year if I stayed.
Oh, okay.
So I said, nah, I'm not going to do that.
So if you mind if I ask some
Go
question?
ahead. Right.
So guys, I want to ask you a question here, because I'm kind of absorbing the information that you're giving, trying to put myself in your shoes and trying to see where we're at with this situation. But it seems to me like, okay, so Bagel McFagel goes ahead and he takes over and he changes out things little by little to kind of surround himself with yes men and with people that will kind of go with what his vision is, and his vision is just elaborately different from what AWA was originally built on. Am I accurate on that? Am I understanding things correctly?
Yeah, well, all you have to do is look at the guest lineup from this last year to see that it's no longer an anime convention.
So why go through this elaborate, ornate process of stringing people along? Because that's what I'm kind of understanding from you guys, and just playing this game. Why do it? I don't understand. What does he get out of it?
Well, I mean, I don't know about stringing along. He once told me, I got upset about something, and I was like, I don't understand. I put all this time in, and it's like it doesn't mean anything. He's like, it doesn't mean anything for anyone here because you're all replaceable parts. He told me that in more or less those words, but especially the words, you are a replaceable part. Everyone is replaceable, and if they're not replaceable, then you're running your company wrong, is what he told me.
I mean,
yeah, he's that kind of person, yes.
Wow. See, the thing is, I understand from, running a business how, to a degree, there's a little bit of yourself that you put into it, but I think, and I've seen this recently with some of the conventions around here too, is that there comes a point where I think that some promoters kind of lose their way when they let some people into their tent, and not just that, they start to make a show become more about their own kind of identity and their own kind of character as opposed to what's best for it. They'll start like what you were saying earlier, Erica. I've seen that actually happen. There's something that I witnessed recently, in the last couple shows that I've been to with some of the promoters, is that they start to make the show more about things that they like personally instead of it being about what your audience wants. You know what I mean? Like, what you were saying, Stan, with them. With him being like, well, I'm going to decide who comes to the show. You know what I mean? Instead of it being like, hey, listen, I'm thinking about bringing this person to the show. What do you guys think? Give me some input here. Do you guys think this person's a good fit for a show or not? But it sounds like he's not doing that at all. It sounds like he's just like, well, I'm going to do what I want for the show, and that's it. And I'm not going to worry about anybody else's input. I'll bring this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And if people don't like it, it's tough.
Like a hostile takeover is what it sounds like to me.
I guess for lack of a better way to put it. But
Well, yeah,
the thing
yeah.
is, I've seen that really affect shows because then again, it's you're no longer. It doesn't seem like you're no longer doing what's best for the attendees. You're just doing what what you're doing to kind of just amuse yourself.
Okay.
What is that a doggy?
Oh, I muted the mic. Could you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you calling
Oh.
Floki.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
we
Oh my
we
God.
hear you.
Oh no, I'm muted.
I
The
think your
mic
mute's
is
busted.
muted. Uh-oh. I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, I was yelling at the dog.
If you got to mute, that's okay. But I guess Stan, I mean, is that kind of fair to say? Is that this Faisal in particular seems to be more worried about what he wants to do as opposed to what is necessarily best for the show?
Let's just say that he's going to do what he wants to do, and he'll put up a good front and take people's suggestions and do the opposite.
I've seen that.
They just recently asked for suggestions for guests. Of course, a lot of people were like, okay, well, they're going to put their who they want to see the most, Japanese guest wise, and I'm like, okay, well, the chance of him actually doing that maybe is 40, 60.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
well, I mean, and
maybe less.
Yeah, well, and they've moved to all this crazy stuff. Like I kept making snide comments all this year about all of this extra ticket stuff. Like it's like, first of all, the ticket price for AWA is insane. They're getting close to being on par with Dragon Con, which is bonkers, which is the big convention in Atlanta that most people have heard of if they're in the convention scene.
Yep,
but
then, on the East Coast.
Yeah, but then there are all of these additional ticketed items. Like if you want to come to this concert, it's another $70. If you want to come to this event, it's another $60. If you want to come to this event, it's another $40. Like there were so many extra tickets in some of the events where the tickets for the one event cost the same amount as the 4-day ticket for AWA.
Yeah,
it was crazy. I don't know. I guess it's not an anime convention anymore. It's a mixed media convention.
Wow. Is that fair to say, Stan? Do you agree with Erica?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when we had 3 bands, and there was not an extra ticket price for that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that happen with some of the bigger shows. Some of them not so much, but yeah, that's another thing I've noticed too is a lot of separate ticketed events within the show, which is not a very, it's not a very good incentive unless you got money to burn like that. But I would think, especially given, the anime crowd, which tends to be that kind of, I would say that it can go up until adult, but there's a very big, teen to, I would say that high school to college age levels that's really hitting it hardcore the most. And typically, in my experience, at least from whenever I've gone as a vendor to anime shows, back before I started carrying a lot of anime merchandise, those are the shows that I wouldn't do. But even if I did have some anime merchandise, depending on what it was, those shows were not ones that I really made a lot of money in because they don't have a lot of money. The kids that go to the show don't have a lot because they're either, struggling college students or they're high school kids that don't really have much to spend in with. So to ask them to spend all this other money, on top of the ticket price, seems kind of, it just doesn't seem like a good long-term business model, in my opinion.
It's like real life
could
DLC.
be wrong. Yeah, so it doesn't seem very sustainable.
Yeah, like I'm looking, they had pretty much the entire cast of Dragon Prince this year, which I guess that's an animated thing.
On Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix show.
Netflix anime. Oh, no, I'm kidding.
But just tons of Japanese groups.
I don't know. It looked a lot better than She-Ra. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing.
Yeah, no, you say it, Stan. You own it. Own it. It's okay.
Own it. You're right. No,
You're
here's
good.
the thing, man. They did the same thing with Dragon Prince that they did with Voltron, except they didn't decide to drag it out for 4 seasons before they hit you over the head with the okie doke. They got through with the first season. You're like, wow, this is pretty good. Then they go the second season, and as soon as the king, mind you, love fantasy, but I'm assuming this was thousands of years ago. As soon as the king is monologuing political talking points and saying everyone should have an even playing field, regardless of whether I'm a king, everyone should have an even chance. He's talking about reparations in a children's.
Supposed to be
Done. Watch. I got like maybe 4 episodes deep into season 2, and I'm like, this show isn't for me. This show isn't for me.
You know what is a show for children?
What is that?
Pokemon.
Do it. Oh,
Ah. So I'm going to completely sidetrack to show you guys donut number 2, which is a Pikachu. Pikachu is a cream-filled banana glazed donut. Back is like that.
nice.
And his eyes are little chocolates, and his cheeks are like M&Ms.
So rosy.
So I'm gonna rip his cheek off.
He probably
Pika.
So you're gonna Pikachu?
I'm chewing Pika. Yes,
could you imagine his his
it's
anguish?
pretty tasty. Look. Ooh,
Oh, ripping him in half. Ah.
Look away, children. Look away.
You know, I imagine
He's got cream filling.
Wow.
even he has even though he has the little Pikachu voice in the anime, I don't know. I still imagine like a man for something like that. Like
Listen,
a real guttural
Yeah,
kind of savage scream.
I would definitely break keto for that donut. That looks good.
it's really good.
Oh yeah.
That's a beautiful donut. It's
What's
delicious.
up? What's up to everybody that's joined recently? What's up?
Oh yeah, we're getting some more people in the chat here.
Guat7.
Thank you all for joining in.
Thank you for
appreciate
the
you all.
supportsies.
Appreciate you all.
This donut is really good. Oh my god, I'm gonna eat some more.
See, you're gonna make us
It's just
we're gonna have
wrong.
to go hit
Just wrong.
right?
Mm.
She's torturing us over here.
There's a Krispy
With the
Kreme.
sweets.
Now he has no ears.
She's like, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yes, it's not.
So I guess getting back to Manjaw, was that somebody like I think Erica, you had said when I had you on last time, you didn't really work or interact with that person, but
She didn't work at AWA to my knowledge. So
did she work at any of the shows that you worked for, Stan? Or was that
I've never met her.
Oh, so that's not a person you ever interacted with. Well, that person, I believe, claimed to have.
Supposedly, the Desco on Twitter
Yeah,
said that that Manjaw claimed to be in the AMV department at AWA, but I'm like, okay, wait. Supposedly, she lives not in Georgia, lives in a different state, and it's really hard to be a staffer and
amen.
to be a staffer of AWA if you're living in another state, because you have to be there is a requirement that you have to have a certain number of attend certain number of staff meetings. So unless she commuted 3 times during the year to go to be the staffer to get a staff badge, she can't be. She couldn't have been a staffer with AWA in the AMV department, which is anime music videos, guys. So
yeah.
I never saw where someone claimed that she was an AWA AMV staffer, but I did see that she claimed to be an AMV staffer at another event. And a certain person that we are both acquainted with knows who she is. They are acquainted through AMV, so.
Yeah, because this person also, that's another thing. Like I said, and I know this is kind of beating the dead horse here. Yeah, I've seen it all before with people like that. And when there's a certain kind of way that when they speak publicly about stuff like that, you kind of know right away that they're full of crap, that they're obviously playing it up like they know more or they're more involved than they actually are. It's so obvious just from the things that they say. Oh, and I was a part of this show this year, and this, this person acted like this, and they're, it's just like, you don't actually know what happened. You probably were, if you did, you were probably one of those people that just held the door open for people, and that's it. And that was the extent of what you actually did at that show. You probably didn't do anything more than that. I mean, it's possible she might have worked for AMV at some other convention, but even then, that doesn't mean that you have any kind of true decision-making ability in a convention. You might work for AMV somewhere, but you might still be answering to somebody. There's somebody above you that actually does have some kind of true responsibility to the show. Like the show I worked for 6 years, I was one of the top 3 guys, that had decision making in that show. Like, for sure, not just talking out of my ass, but actually had, decision making responsibilities that would, have an actual impact on the show. So, but there was a lot of times where I noticed people, again, that just didn't have that kind of authority, but would portray themselves as having some kind of authority, even though really, and there was a lot of times where I had to tell people, oh, well, so-and-so said this. I said, well, so-and-so is just a volunteer.
Yeah.
And so their shift ended 2 hours ago. You know what I mean? And the only thing they get to decide is, whether or not you get in because you have a badge. That's it. And that's the extent of what they're allowed to do. That's it.
That's it, puppy. No more. Put it back.
Just seems like that person just from seeing them talking again. I could be wrong. It's possible that could be wrong. I get the sense that person is just completely full of crap. Oh, so Bowsette in chat saying, don't forget Manjaw kissing underage girls on stage. Yeah, I don't think anybody has forgotten that, Bowsette. Yeah, we all know.
Not that we want to.
Yeah,
I try to forget it every day.
It haunts me.
It haunts me. I mean, but from what you guys are discussing, like what I'm seeing here, kind of like the back and forth, why, at least in Fagel McBagel's case, why even get involved? Just for the attention? Just to say?
I would say Funimation's booth at AWA is about 8 times the size of anybody else's booth.
Okay.
And also, Faisal just doesn't like Vic. He's told me that in the past. So,
I mean, so just was there ever any specified reason, or do you have a pretty good guess as to why that might be?
I mean, obviously, he didn't come out and say, I don't like Vic because XYZ, but I think it's just, I hate to say it, that my belief is that it's something this petty, but I think it's the fact that Vic was Stan's guest. And Stan brought Vic to AWA pretty much every year, more or less. And Vic, Stan brought Vic to KawaiiCon as much as he could and to the other events. And
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it every year because
not every year, but he came to AWA pretty much every year.
Yeah,
for like an 8-year stretch.
Yeah.
But he sold tickets, and his lines always had to be. I have never, I keep seeing this stuff, but I never once worked an autograph session with Vic Vignano where I didn't have to cap the line. We always had to cap the line. There was no downtime. There was no time when Vic was sitting at his table with nothing to do. And so, like, he sells badges. He is a safe bet, and especially it just, I don't know. I think that it's a mix of those things. Is that was Stan's guest, and that Vic had been to AWA a lot, and that Funimation and all of those people know each other. A lot of the convention runners, like, so for example, Adam Sheehan, who is one of the people that spoke out against Todd with that whole Jesse Pridemore situation. Like Adam Sheehan was a guest at AWA a couple of times, and the staffers all know each other. They have industry parties where the convention runners, schmooze with them, and it's all like one big incestuous conglomeration. So, you don't, pardon the metaphor, but you don't shit where you eat. So,
well, it's Japan,
Well, I'm in Japan. You guys aren't.
No, but I mean, since you said that Fagel McBagel likes the Japanese stuff, it happens.
I have no idea. I don't know about stuff like that.
No. I'm saying the brother-sister relationship part, the incestuousness.
Oh, I mean, I did see an anime one time called Angel Sanctuary, and that was incestuous, but I don't know. That's all I got, guys. That's all I got.
I'm sorry I started this. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You just derailed us. I was just going like this, and you were like, bam, off the tracks.
Yeah,
it's fine. And the thing is, that's one thing. Like, obviously, if a guest is popular and the fans like them, I mean, they're gonna. There's a good chance they're gonna get invited pretty frequently. I mean, I've seen it happen at a bunch of shows. I mean, that happens with Ruben and AFO. He goes there like every year because fans just love him. He's a popular guest. The owners love him, so he's always there. He comes every year to it. AFO. And he can still draw people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's smart business too. It's just like, why not? And that's the thing I've noticed too. When a guest is really popular, even if so, I've seen it with people that come to visit a show every year, even if they've already gotten a picture and an autograph with them, sometimes they'll still come and pay for another one. Just because
I've seen people in like come through the autograph line, every day of a convention, the same people.
Yeah.
So
just to support that person.
The thing is here, right? So we and fair warning here, guys, we have to get into the point where, and I always say this a lot when it comes to this kind of stuff, it's not what you can prove in the court of public opinion, but what you can prove in the court of law. But the court of public opinion, especially when we're really looking into things and just kind of, dissecting this, because we really are, it's kind of like a cult of personality. It's like Vic was this really popular guy that everyone loved, except these guys. And it's kind of like we're looking for an excuse. He's associated with this person, associated with that person, but we're just looking for an excuse to get rid of that guy because, I just don't like him.
Well, that's the thing. When you work behind the scenes, like I'm sure y'all have both probably heard, not just necessarily staffers, but I'm sure there was point in times where you heard, because I know I heard it plenty of times with other guests, like that would be talking trash about a really popular guest, and it's just like, and then and it's easy to tell what the issue is there when you look at their lines compared to that guest's lines. It's just like, see, that's why you don't like them. And it's not to say that I don't like to use. I try not to use that argument. I try to use the most rational arguments I possibly can when it comes to that. Not the whole like, well, you're just jealous. But the thing is, a lot of times it is that. Mm-hmm. It's the simply answers. What does it say? The simplest answer is usually the right one. Yeah. A lot of times it is that, and you'll see that and they'll literally talk about another person's line. It's just like, yeah, this person's jealous of. They're jealous of this guy.
It goes with the credence where we found out maybe, what was it? I would say maybe about 5 or 6 months ago, where I put it together after I was like trying to catch up with everything. Where and you guys don't have to say anything about this. I'm just going to say it out loud. Where the thought process or the chain of events was, okay, well, so and so thought she was special, and thought that this guy was gonna, keep her. And then she realized, well, I'm not so special. So I got to find a way to get back at him.
Yeah.
And it just tumbleweeded into this hot, juicy mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we could definitely, I would say jealousy is a large portion of it. But I think, I don't know, I have my own theories on how a lot of this came about, or on why it blew up the way it did. And I think that we should go back and look at how good of a friend Jamie Marchi and Michelle Specht were.
Whoa.
Because I think there's actually a little more on that angle than a lot of people realize.
Why don't you enlighten us?
Please do.
Enlighten us.
I don't like speculate. It's all speculation based off of.
That's fine. Say speculation. It's speculation. Just so everyone knows, it's not fact. It's not fact.
If we are speculating, I'm probably going to have a nasty DM from a certain watchdog about talking about stuff like this. But I mean, we all know Vic cheated on Michelle. Most of us knew Vic cheated on Michelle before you guys did. But we also, some of us know Michelle, or have met Michelle, or have been around Michelle, or have had to listen to her screaming at him, or things like that. And if
I haven't.
yeah, I know. Mostly for during the Star Trek filming.
Other things.
Yeah. But she most certainly comes across as the burn you to the ground because you crossed her kind of person. And so I would speculate that Vic broke up with her. She didn't find out he was cheating on her until after they broke up.
Okay.
And she was told by one of his friends, which is a bit of a dagger in the back. So,
yeah.
And then he got this deal where he was going to be a director at Funimation. So he was good. Like, he helped her get her apartment when they broke up and some stuff like that, or that is what I've been told. I don't know that 100%. And so he gets us this promise of this director's job. So he sells everything, moves to Dallas. Then Michelle finds out that he cheated on her, and she looks for a way to vent her vengeance on him.
Wow.
And
Indication.
then that post from Hanlea goes out, and she goes, "Ha ha."
Mm-hmm.
And she speaks with her good friend, Miss Rial.
I see. So
for a 10-year-old story, none of these stories are recent. None of the stories that actually allege any kind of harassment are recent.
It's now 11 years old.
11 years old, and almost, yeah.
12,
and the one
12,
story,
yeah.
the one story from the twins is disputed on the part where they allege the actual, inappropriate kiss. But, that's my theory.
So, I mean, so it has, I know it's speculation. So, but is it,
folks.
has it been factually established though that she did not find out until after her and Vic broke up, or is that just what you?
No, I would. No, I mean, nobody out there has said that, but someone that I know who is very, very, very close to the situation told me that she didn't find out until after, because she didn't know when they broke up. Like, I'm almost, I would say with 98% certainty that she didn't know prior to their breakup. And then a little bit of a firestorm started coming up with the Broly movie, and all of a sudden a certain somebody went and ran their mouth to her about it, and she found out. Although a certain somebody was not a different certain somebody was also not very careful with some photos that they posted while they were out with their girlfriend. And they posted pictures of her at a place where that person also was at. But I realize that's very convoluted, but I don't want to put.
No, I got you.
No, you're good.
I got you. Yeah, but remember, you don't have to.
For speculation things, I don't want to put names out there except for
that's fair.
The shocker here for me is, and I'm sorry, this is just for me. Maybe everybody else knows, and whoops, I didn't. So Michelle and Monica were friends, but Monica was seeing Vic while he was still in a relationship with Michelle.
I don't know. I know that Monica and Michelle were friends because Monica admits as much in her affidavit.
Right.
But I don't know that Monica and Vic were in a relationship.
Or were seeing each other or anything like. Okay.
I don't know anything about that.
No.
See, that's kind of where Stan was brought into the situation, was
right.
that incident which supposedly happened at was it AzumiCon, Stan? Would they claim that it happened?
Yep, AzumiCon 2007.
And you didn't recount any of that. The way she put it, she made it, and I think her story has changed at least 2 or 3 times now. Is that right, Erica?
Well, about the only thing I can confirm on her story is that she was seeing another person, because I met that person. So
and that's not the person she's with now, right? That's not.
No.
Okay.
It's not Ron Toy.
Yeah. Okay, just to clarify that. But Yeah, that whole that's interesting what you mentioned, Erica, because I mean, you would think that the cheating would be the reason for the breakup. You know what I mean? So, but apparently that potentially happened. That whole thing came out after, so that kind of changes some of the, I guess, optics. Not that it's right. Don't get me wrong. We're not condoning Vic's, affairs, I guess you could say, but obviously that's not right. But again, I don't think it's something that warrants him getting his life ruined over, though.
Yeah.
So,
and borrowing a line from Tug, being called a P to the E to the D to the O.
Yeah, I love how everybody has just decided that part of the story has disappeared. Like that's fallen out of the narrative completely.
Well, that whole thing, that to me is just, that's such a gross.
Well, I think it was because it really was. They really thought he was Ilyich Guardiola, or however the hell you say that guy's last name.
You got it right. You spelled it. You pronounced it right.
That's Professor. I thought so, but I really think that that's when that dropped off, is because they were like, oh, oops, like, because there's no substantiation for that comment, that label at all. Yeah,
it was just literally
what they could at the wall to see what would stick.
Well, that's what it was, and they ran with it. And the thing is, a lot of people ran with it, and they didn't even bother. And that's that. I think that's part of the frustration we see with a lot of.
Let's read the article.
Yeah, yeah.
Read, people. Read
the article, because I read that article when it came out, and I'm saying to myself, Ilyich, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Wow,
yeah.
Like, why are you messing up your life here?
And that's all people.
Because he was a student. He was a teacher at a drama class, and that's where he met this girl. So that he was teaching. So, Ilyich. Yes, I know him.
Recap it.
Well, what it was is that when the Hanlea tweet that started pretty much everything online, that started this whole firestorm online, came out, what happened was that person was, basically ascribing something that Vic didn't do, that somebody else did. A guy named Ilyich Guardiola, however you say his name.
Yes.
It was him. It was him that she was talking about.
Case of mistaken identity.
But she was saying it's Vic. Funny enough, that guy was a guy that apparently dated Monica back in the day. The guy
he was in fact having a relationship with an underage girl.
Sweet baby Jesus.
And that's what kind of started the whole firestorm. And the thing is, nobody ever really corrected that. They just decided to kind of run with that.
Wow.
To run with that narrative.
They ran with it, and again, they didn't. She tagged a story, and his name is in the story.
Yeah.
And why no one caught on to it is beyond me.
Yep, the story, she liked the story and everything, and it had the guy's name, the actual perpetrator. Nobody retracted, nobody said nothing. They just completely ran with it. That's what started everything.
Oh my!
And that's where we're at now. And it's just like,
holy heck!
Yeah,
holy heck!
And it actually wasn't. Yeah, it actually was.
Yeah, it was like he was having sex with her while she was underage, and then they tried to get around it by he went to Vegas to marry her, and her mother gave her permission. But it doesn't matter that they got married, because he still had sex with her before he was married to her while she was underage. So,
so that kind of trumps, that. So, yeah, it was just a mess of a situation, and that's
so at most. Okay, so at most, right? So this is a thing. People just decided to run with it because I guess it sounded more interesting.
Well, because Vic was a name that everybody, Ilyich Guardiola had fallen off the face of the earth. None of these young kids had any idea who that voice actor was,
Refresh me. What has he done? What did he do?
I don't know what he's done of no. What was his biggest role? Do y'all don't
understand?
God, it's been such a long time ago.
Yeah, so he's insignificant now, obviously, but just all that, that's what kind of caused the whole storm. And that's the other thing too. It's just like if the whole point was to kind of get Vic out of the equation. I was on with Hay the other day, and we kind of briefly talked about this, and I mentioned, I was like, it's not really going to help them in the long run either, because nobody's in a year from now. I sincerely doubt Marky's line or Monica's line is going to be any different than how it is now. A year from now, nobody's going to care about. They're going to care about them just the exact same that they probably have always cared about them. And I'm not saying, look, and it's nothing personal against them. It's just like, there's when people decide to get behind certain actors and whatnot, there's usually a good reason behind it. It usually has to do with that person themselves. Vic seems like the kind of person, the reason why he draws a lot of people, it has largely to do obviously with his personality and the what he puts out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? About himself. And I see it all the time with guests. It's just like, that's why, Ruben always gets invited back to AFO because, and he can be kind of strange sometimes when you talk to him.
Statement of the
don't get me wrong. I love Ruben. Ruben's my boy.
I love Ruben.
But yeah, but he could go way down the rabbit hole when it comes to stuff. But the thing is, he has a personality that draws.
He's so genuine.
Yes, he is.
He would not even cheat you out of a penny. He's such a genuine guy, Yeah.
He's
that's a huge difference.
And that's the thing. And there's people that just have that kind of personality. They have that charisma. That's what keeps people coming back to them, and why they have such a ravenous and loyal fan base is because of who they are. It's just like, if that doesn't, like, who was the guy that, I always forget his name, the guy that said that Vic mounted him, I think Neil something.
Kaplan.
Neil, yeah, him. He was just like
pathetic.
He mounted me, and it's just like, well, I mean, you bitch. I mean, but
why'd you get on your knees?
Yeah, I was gonna say. The video evidence from that event does not support his narrative.
I mean, it's more. I mean, now looking back on it, when you see his tweet, he mounted me. Now it comes off his mouth. He mounted me.
Yeah.
That's the way I interpret it.
Like, what's crazy to me is I saw that story and I go, so you do know that when you give a guy a piggyback ride, I mean,
that's not mounting. You give him a piggyback ride, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, and the thing is,
how'd you think it worked?
To me, it's just like, just his whole little rant too was very transparent too. Just like, oh, he was late getting there. Yeah, because if a guest is really popular, they're probably going to show up late for their panel.
Well, if he doesn't have a strong handler, he's late for everything anyway. So,
yeah,
exposed.
Oh,
geez.
Sorry, Vic. It's true.
It's
no,
okay.
but it's
yeah, but he wants you to be the bad guy. I've mentioned this before.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you definitely have to be the bad guy when you handle your Vic's handler, like, because he won't tell people no. He won't tell. That's why these stories about he yelled at me, or not staffers, but convention attendees. These stories that pop up, or he was rude to me, or he did this, or he yelled, or blah blah blah. I'm like, that's not true. I know for a fact, because that's what his handler does. Vic doesn't yell at con attendees. He doesn't say inappropriate things in front of con attendees. He will not be rude to it. I was the one who had to get the hotel security to remove the fan that was not allowed to be at the convention because he had been stalking Vic. Like Vic was just like, oh, hey, hi, how are you doing? And he's like, you have to go get security, Erica. He won't be the bad guy. So like, yeah,
I've had to be the bad guy for for guests before, because in the few I never, and this was at the show that I was a part of, I didn't have to be a handler, but there was times what we would do is that when we would go to different conventions as vendors, we would bring a guest with us so that we could have more people come to the booth. Oh, we got so-and-so with us today signing. You want to come get their autograph? And it worked. It would, especially when we promoted it out in advance, we'd have a guest at the show, but so I would have to kind of act as a bit of a handler in those situations as well. So, aside from just, selling merchandise or whatever, had to kind of do double duty as handler. So there was times where I had to like take, if we were bringing them to a specific convention, we'd be like, hey, we're bringing this guest. Is it right if they get a panel at your show or whatever? And oh yeah, fine. We talked to the promoters and everything would be good. So I would have to walk them to their panels and stuff like that, and I would have to be like the jerk. Oh, can I get your autograph for the picture? They're not taking pictures and autograph right now. They're on their way to their panel. Sorry, what I'm saying. You come back to the table later. Like I would have to be that guy.
There's a big sign at the table that says no photos, no voice recordings, and they come up and they're like, "Hey, can I get a voice?" And you literally have to get in there and be like, "No, there are no voice recordings allowed."
Yeah. So I know how that goes, and I had no problem with that. I mean, it's just somebody has to be that person for some of these guests. Let me get this super chat real quick from Rogue. Thank you so much for the 5. Literally every VA that has come out against Vic has been BTFO'd fantastically. Brett and Kara are another 2 that lied like losers, I guess is what they meant to say. They forgot the S. It's all good. But that Brent guy, that was the guy I think that had said that he was sat in between or something.
Talking about Brett.
I am the White Knight.
Yeah, was that what convention was that? Was that one of the ones
I think that one was Anime Central.
Oh, okay, so not one of the ones. Not one of the ones you.
It's like and good on you, Kiwi Farms, for digging up that photo where it's like, and you're a lying piece of garbage. Here's
well, there's always that person that is looking to
got them receipts.
Yeah, they're always trying to jump in and make it say, well, I stood up to him, and it's just like, and I did this, and it's just like, come on, bro.
Let's search that up. Let's search that up. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
I mean, that's why it's just like I don't ever believe anybody when they do the internet tough talk, because it's just, come on, like when you hear this guy, the toy, I used to get into street fights. Yeah, at the arcade, bitch. You didn't get into no street fight in the street, man. Please.
I got next.
Yeah, it's just like exactly.
Oh my god, bro!
Come on, man. I don't believe that for a second. That he got into street fights with people. You know what I mean? And if he did, it was probably people that probably had a disadvantage over him. Probably like one-armed dudes or something. Or one-legged dudes or something. Come on, man. It's just like
someone in the chat mentioned the fan that went to his house. Yeah, they went to Vic's house in Houston when he had a house in Houston. It was a dad. It actually wasn't a fan. It was the dad of his daughter who was a fan.
Oh, I haven't heard this story.
Went to Vic's house. Yeah.
Oh, the Houston house?
Yeah.
How do you find them?
Yeah, how'd that happen?
Well, I mean, I guess. Well, it's not like the
public records. He probably public records.
Yeah,
it out.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
The last name Mignana is not that common.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let me get this one from Obscure Anime Guy. Thank you for the 5. If I tweeted that the ghost of John Wilkes Booth assassinated Vic Sphera, how fast would Hay make a video about it? Damn! I love Hay, but dang,
Hay.
They got you, Hay. They got you. Hay would have been a part of this, but he kind of goes to sleep early on Saturdays, so he'll probably watch the replay of this. Or I'll tell him about it. But that was good. That was good. Obscure Anime Guy. That was a good one.
Harsh. Poor Hay.
Yeah.
Before he does the video, he will wash his hands.
He will. He's my boy though. I love him. Cracks him. Ask me with the 2 artist alleys are where to be. No panels much. Meh. I mean, I guess. I mean, that's another funny thing I found too. When the whole KamehamehaCon situation happened, there was people that I guess were artists and vendors saying, "I want a refund," and it's just like, stupid. you know how these contract works. If you've been a vendor before at a convention, it's just like, stop trying to virtue signal. You know how these things go. You're either gonna be there or not. If you're not gonna go and you want to lose money and you paid for a table, that's on you. But it's just like, don't act like you don't know how these contract works. It's so dishonest. Like, especially people that would purport themselves as being long time convention goers, as whether they've been attendees or vendors. You know the rules. Like, you already know this stuff. You're not going to get a refund. Don't act like KamehamehaCon or another convention is doing this great disservice to you by not giving you a refund. You know how the rules work with stuff like that.
It's a circus, man.
You have a certain.
This is going to spawn an entire new disclaimer box when you go to purchase badges. Exactly. Because you don't like a guest who is attending who has been announced after you purchase your badge is not a valid reason for you to want a refund.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I've been to plenty of shows that I've been a vendor at that there's guests that I could care less about, but I'm just saying, I'm here to make money, man.
Exactly.
I don't care about is whatever, I mean, I'm here to make my profit and then be on my way. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That the guest literally has nothing to do with me making money.
Right.
Nope,
I have a
other than
question for
getting in the
Stan.
door.
I don't know if he'll answer it or not.
What's that?
So about Samantha and OA Hart,
Mm-hmm.
what did you make
is
of that situation?
Is that a person that did you get a chance to, did either of you get a chance to work with her? Was she a part of AWA or any of the conventions?
She was a friend of mine.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's a friend of Stan's. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is for Stan. Stan, you have the floor.
I mean,
well,
you don't have to bury this person.
It's
a friend of yours. I mean, it's an interesting situation. I mean, I don't know if
I don't know why she thought it was a good idea to use a photo of an incident that happened at her dad's house that she was renting out, to use it against her, use it as an excuse of someone saying that they swatted her.
Jeez.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I got some nasty messages after that happened. People that we were still acquainted with, like mutually acquainted with, were like being like, well, you see what those people who support Vic are doing to our friends and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why are you like, because by this point I was in it and I'm like, why are you coming after me for something that happened? And then it came out that it was faked. Jeez. Or that it was dishonestly represented as having happened. That's why I was curious. Like
taking an incident that did happen and then using it for something else.
Right.
So, because I knew about the story where she had worked with a church group in her community, rented out her father's house, and this family just really just trashed the place, and she ended up having to get them evicted, and then they came back and then trashed up the house again.
So that wasn't even a swatting the first time. It was someone that just trashed the house.
Mm-hmm.
She told a story about the police coming in, waking up the family, scaring the children.
So that was just what, like probably just a B&E then, right?
It's just a bad bunch of people. And then it made the church group look pretty bad as well, because they vetted these people. So
ouch, uncool.
All right, let me get this one real quick from TLJ Screwjob. Thank you for the 5. If only we looked at the Illich story before TCPA hearing, then Chup would have to say they were lying because knowledge of the falsity.
I don't think that portion of that was added to the court case.
Yeah, I don't recall that being mentioned either. But going back just a sec to this Amanda situation, that's is she a person that does she have a history of any kind of mental illness, or just a pattern of I guess weird behavior or anything that
Are we talking about Sammy? Samantha?
Yeah,
about Sammy.
No,
not that you.
No.
So. I mean, what
she is a business owner. She owns her own animation company.
Mm-hmm.
She works with Rooster Teeth. Works with Robert Rodriguez and with his company out there in Austin.
Wow.
So I don't know why she wanted to get on the bandwagon with all these other people.
That's weird. I mean, that's the other thing too. Is what surprises me about everything is all the people that had jumped onto it. Like what do they, looking to see what they
critical thinking.
I just don't get
it. I get it that controversy creates cash, but geez.
No, but that's the thing. I don't think it'll create cash for any of them in the long run. If they're thinking that somehow this is going to get them longer lines at conventions or something like that, it's not. I've never seen that happen before with anybody. It's drama like that. It's never, to the best of my knowledge, helped anybody in those kind of situations.
Actually, since we're discussing this,
Sammy is not one of those people that were jealous of Vic in the least bit. I mean, she had her own following, and people would come to see her panels and such. And she's a very likable person, lots of fun. So I don't know why she would, like, again, team up with Monica and Jamie to try to ruin Vic's life, because Vic never done anything to her. You know, maybe, you know, one of the things Vic used to do when he go to a convention, and he did this at AWA, particularly in the green room, is he would meet other people there and then ask them who they are and what part of the industry are they in, because it just to gauge, you know, where everybody is. Then one year that Faisal brought in 4chan, or not 4chan, the
Team 4-Star.
Team 4-Star, yeah. And Vic was like, "Why are you bringing these people? Because, you know, they're taking other people's property and then making a parody and stuff like that, and you're making them a guest. You know, that's not exactly a bright thing to do." You know, Vic actually questioned that, and me personally, I would question that too. I'm like,
yeah, it's fair to question, I think, the ethics of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, throughout this process, and that you guys know of before this became big, was Vic aware of how people felt about him, what they were saying?
That man is oblivious.
Okay.
I mean, that's been my understanding.
Wow.
Stan, did you get any other, like, people I'm sure have told him, hey, this person doesn't like you, but I don't think he would just be like, that person doesn't like me. Like, he was even surprised about Faisal.
He was like, why did they not like me?
Yeah, he's really oblivious to stuff like that, in my opinion.
Wow.
You know, you always say that. What did I do to them?
Yeah, and that's it. That's true. He's so just he doesn't feel like he makes enemies out of anybody. So
Wow.
So I think it's fair, like what he said in that I guess on that court report that came out, I think a couple days ago. He's just like, you know, foolishly, you know,
consider everyone I meet a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. That pretty much sums it up. I mean, he does, until you prove that you're stabbing him in the back. Oops, sorry about the camera. He operates on common trust and courtesy. He doesn't automatically start off distrusting people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just heartbreaking to see.
That's messed up. That's messed up. I got that vibe from him, but I've never met the man.
Yeah, I've never met him personally. Like, I've seen him at a lot of the shows that I've either attended as an attendee or have been a vendor at. But you know, I've never interacted with him. I've seen the kind of lines that he's pulled at shows and stuff like that. And I remember the very first one, and I've told this story before, but for those of you that are new in chat that haven't heard it, the first time I ever saw him at a show, I want to say was either MegaCon 2004, 2005. It was, I'm trying to remember specifically whenever it was that Full Metal Alchemist was finally licensed over here and was dubbed and was, I guess it was on TV. I forget, was it Cartoon Network? The first time it was dubbed. The first series, not Brotherhood.
Probably
before it.
You're probably right. 2006, 2007.
So somewhere around there, whenever it was on American, finally was on American TV, and he went to MegaCon that year, and I remember that was the first time I had ever seen him at a show, and I remember the thing that I remembered that stuck out to me was his line. Because I was just like, man, I was just like, whose line is this? And it's just like, oh, it's Vic Mignogna. He's the voice of Edward Elric. And I'm just like, a voice actor with a line like this? Because I've been to so many shows and I hadn't seen that in a show as big as MegaCon, because MegaCon's not at that time, it wasn't a small show. It was already the biggest show that we had here in the state. So I was like, This is a voice actor's line. It's like, and next to him were like Kevin Sorbo and like, other people that were, that you would think should have bigger lines. There was some people from WWE there, some wrestlers that were there, and like his line was bigger than like theirs combined. I was just like, it was like wrapping around and stuff. I was like, this is crazy, man.
I was like, Edward's pretty tall.
Yeah, it was just, it just
Had to get the short joke in there.
yeah, it really surprised me, and then that was like, that's the one thing that always stuck out to me, was just like from the beginning. Then just any time after that I saw him, it was always the same.
I'm gonna go get some water.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Right.
But that's the one thing that always stuck out was
Yeah, his lines are always consistently massive.
Yeah,
like like I said, I've never not had to cap his line that I've worked with him. So
yeah,
but I'd be really curious to see. I keep seeing pictures pop up from conventions of other voice actors involved in this, and it's like, oh, look at their line, look how short it is, blah blah blah. But I wonder, I'm curious. A picture may be worth 1,000 words, but they could also be, misrepresented.
oh
And
yeah,
I would be curious to know whether or not, like, I'd like to see some time lapse videos
exactly.
of whether or not their lines really are suffering as badly as it's being represented that it is. So
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I thought the exact same thing. Is just like, I would love to see more of a time lapse video to see if that's actually accurate or not. Because again, look, I'm sure they get their people that do come to see them. That it's not that they're not, that their fan base is non-existent. I'm sure there's people that do.
Well, judging by the amount of vitriol going on the internet, they obviously still have people that support them, but it's whether or not those people support with their cash or not.
And that's another thing too. Exactly. And that's what I think too. It's just like the people people don't show up for people like that. They just don't. It's just I've seen it time and time again. I've seen it to a lesser degree with the Power Rangers fandom. With some of the actors, and seeing how they've acted with some of the, with some of the fan base, and just overall. And again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. People always vote with their dollars, and if you're putting what you put out there is what you get back. You know what I mean? And if you're putting it out there that you're kind of a jerk,
yeah,
you're not. People aren't going to come see you, even if they say that they agree with you online. They won't show up when it matters. They won't show up.
They don't put their money where their mouth is.
They don't. They really don't. Even if they claim to online.
Hey, not a bug.
Not a bug is here. Not a bug.
Not a bug is making the rounds. Everybody knows him now.
Not a bug. I gotta have Not a Bug on with us sometime too, because Not a Bug actually, I think, worked for Akon for a bit as security. But let's read his real quick. Hi, Erica, Stan, and John. Sorry, can I stay long? Up for 4 hours. I've looked in his eyes in candid convo. He really is that genuine and kind. So I guess he's referring to Vic. Thank you for that.
Yeah, he recently got to meet Vic in person.
Hearts and arrows don't pay the bills.
That's correct.
What Corano says.
Corono.
Oh, Corono. That's right, because he pronounces it Corono.
Corono.
My bad, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. That's too Corono there.
Stan, I was meaning to ask you this, and this could be a question for Erica too. Now, I know you guys said prior to the name drop and you guys being kind of thrust into this situation, no one contacted you, no one spoke with you. But how about after the fact? Is anyone associated with these ne'er-do-wells? Have they tried to contact you guys or make any comments or anything like that? Has anything like that happened?
No. Not at all.
Well, I think actually they tried to. Did they try to? Didn't they try to say that they were gonna try to have some court order against you, Stan, for deposition, or they were gonna try to depose you or something? Wasn't that like their plan or something, to try to depose you, Stan?
Not that I'm gonna know of. I mean,
They wanted you and Slaytosh and Huber. They wanted to depose all three of y'all to ask you about the affidavit.
No, that was actually they wanted to depose Ty and wanted to get emails, messages, anything that had to do with all of us.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's right.
Orale.
Yeah, I remember seeing your name come up about that, but that's why I was like, oh, poor me with my little unsworn declaration. I'm not even cool enough to get on the deposition list.
That's okay though. I don't. I think you'd be too much for them to handle. They'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of her.
I feel like that would be an interesting experience.
Obscure guy for $2. Do you think?
Hey, Lemoyne or Rontoye's transcriber, if you guys are out there listening and y'all want to talk to me, you just pay for my flight back to America and cover my work costs and get me a hotel and maybe some per diem for some food.
I think Lemoyne would do that. It's that dude.
I'll tell you about some consulates.
Oh dear Lord.
Tell you about some consulates.
Listen, Miss McCord, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I'm sorry. Could you speak up? I can't hear you over that rasping noise in the room.
You scare me. You scare me. I'm okay. I know when I'm licked. I know when I'm licked. Obscure Admin guy says for $2, do you think Vic can get work with Davis Cage? I don't know who Davis Cage is. Do you all know who he's referring to?
No.
Is that Nicolas Cage's son?
Hi, I'm Nicolas Cage.
Oh Lord.
We got Gamer Thumb TV in the chat. What's up, Gamer Thumb? What's up, buddy?
Who's Gamer Thumb? I don't know this person.
You need to check out his content if y'all haven't already. He does some great timeline videos, and on top of he does streaming videos and reviews on his channel.
Okay.
Even halfway, watch his timeline
his videos are good. They're really good.
Hold on, wait a minute. I have to address a comment in the chat from Nova Zero. Nova Zero tells me to hook us up and we'll get you a GoFundMe. And all I can say is I asked everybody when I got doxxed to give me 3 Musketeers bars, and y'all didn't even give me any 3 Musketeers bars. So I don't have any faith that you guys would be able to fund a GoFundMe.
She's savage.
I'm telling you.
Back down.
Savage.
So I'm bitter. I'm pretty miffed about the lack of 3 Musketeers bars. But Christmas is coming up. You guys could send me Christmas cards.
Yeah, let this be a lesson. Don't yank the McCord. Don't do
I
it.
tell you, people say that they're going to send me stuff. I want to see y'all carry through with your threats.
Wow.
Wait, Erica, if you don't mind my asking, what's your dog's name? What's his name?
My dog's name is Floki with an F, Floki, Floki.
Floki. What kind of doggo is he?
He is an Australian cattle doggo.
Oh, so he's medium sized.
Yeah, he's medium sized. He's about 24 kilos of all muscle.
Dang.
Floki, you want to come say hi?
Oh yeah, show the doggo.
Come here, boo boo.
And while she's getting the doggo there, Stan, you don't are you familiar with Chris Latosh at all, or is that's just a person that you've? Oh, what a beautiful doggy! Is that a person that you've had any interactions with in the past?
No, I don't know Chris. No,
Chris.
No, but
Say hi,
like
Sophie.
I told on I think it was Tug's stream, I said, if you have to rely on people's sponsorship money, then you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
For your show.
Say hi. Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean because I've seen it. I've seen how it, and the thing is, it just
Doggo cam.
From what I've seen with shows, and like I said, you did it a lot longer than I did in terms of working as staff on convention and even having your own. I don't see that sponsorship money helps all that much. I mean, it might give a little bit of a, I guess,
a little cushion, but no,
of credibility. But I haven't, at least, the show I worked for, they got sponsorship 1 year from 2 separate entities, but I didn't see that much of to me, I didn't see that much of a significant increase in attendance. Like, I didn't see this massive increase in attendance over it. I mean, it helped in the sense of probably, giving a little bit more credibility, and it probably did get some people to come out. But I think there's a big misconception about that, where people think that's, oh yeah, I got sponsorships, I made it now. And I don't see it that it really necessarily helps all that much.
It doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't. It's not like a
it
massive.
doesn't really help either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were supposed to provide like a pretty huge chunk of change, weren't they? Like to that convention.
25,000, but hopefully you're doing what you're doing to pay to help pay the bills or bring in the money to pay the bills.
Right, but I mean, if the option is between, having $25,000 of sponsorship money to pay the venue with, and then keeping the $25,000 that the convention brings in to reinvest in the convention, like it seems like a good choice. I don't know.
Well, yes, assuming everything worked out and you brought in those people and you didn't have people outside folks interfering with your show.
Ooh, that's true. Dang.
That's a good point.
Tell it like it is, Mr. Dahlin.
Yeah. Stan, you had mentioned before one time, I don't know if it was on the stream with Nick or with Tug, about people in Florida. So I assume you probably
Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume you know some of the promoters that I might also have we might know some of the same, we might know some of the same people in passing, but I had mentioned on that stream that Florida things have kind of changed a little bit over here. But
with Floridians, it's like people who are in northern Florida doesn't go to central Florida, and central Florida doesn't go to southern Florida, and vice versa. So
well, there's a better chance of people in central going to south than it is to north. Typically, that's what I found.
100% true.
They typically are more likely to go to southern Florida than to go to northern Florida, because the only thing in northern Florida is really Jacksonville, and that's not really.
You can go to.
That's not really an ideal.
If you're feeling frisky, you can go to the Panhandle and adventure, but
but even then, it's like
I didn't consider that much of in the scope of things. But it was all the southern folks that were causing problems.
The southern Florida people. I think I know there, it's somebody in particular, but I won't mention them off stream. Maybe when we get off stream, we'll
it's been so long ago, I don't remember any of this.
I'm pretty sure you would know the name or at least you would know some of the names if I mentioned them. You'd probably be like, yep, that's the person.
I'm gonna grab that one.
Yeah, you can go ahead and grab that one.
All right, Rogue, thank you very much for the $2 super chat. When Ron Soye calls with an offer, hang up.
I love how no one calls him Toye anymore. He's just forever going to become Ron Soye.
I mean,
and that's good advice, Rogue. You're absolutely right.
Well, it's a guy that deserves to be taken seriously at all. I think it's hilarious that he would, when Nick was still on Twitter, he would apparently send Nick DMs saying like, "Oh, you're gonna lose" and stuff like that. And Nick would just be like, "Okay, whatever you say." Like I just don't. When people do that, I just from my experience, when people are constantly trying to, I guess, justify their position or try to jockey for some kind of position. It's just like, bro, it's the internet, bro. It's just like nobody cares.
Look, I'll be honest with you. Don't talk to me about how good you are. Show me.
Yeah, but he's not going.
Oh, but he gave some girl a laptop one time. But he also beat his wife.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yeah, no, there's like court documentation on that dude.
No, I know that's true. But it's just I like the way she sandwiched that together. Good job.
What Chrono says, Ron Universal Remote wielding Soye. Yep.
Oh.
he probably pulls a I have the power.
How many people do you think send Soye jelly beans in the mail?
Oh damn.
Ooh.
Can you imagine now?
Sorry.
Well, if it's the same number of people that send me 3 Musketeers bars, it's 0.
Oh no. She ain't gonna let y'all.
Never. Until into perpetuity, I am going to be salty about some 3 Musketeers bars.
Well. Actually, talking about that, have you all received any messages from people that are supporters of them, like harassing messages?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's a good question.
From their side, saying what they would do to you all, or dumb stuff.
Let's see.
No.
Hold on, I'm going into the messages.
So you haven't, Stan?
No, I haven't got anything. Of course, I've got it filtered so that you have to really have a verified account to even talk to me.
Yeah.
So none of these fly by night guys would just shoot off a message and then disappear. Though there was one that was had been commenting on some of my my hearsay stories,
Hmm.
and
Oh, the gazebo guy, right?
no, not that one, but that was one of them. But it was another one. Well, maybe it was that gazebo one.
Yeah, because then after a
Because
while,
they were talking about stuff that only certain convention owners or operators would know.
right,
And say certain
exactly.
things. So it was like, okay, this must be a sock account for somebody.
Yeah, someone we know, yeah. I have had a few people. I haven't had any messages, no like nasty messages. And most of the people who have like vitriolic things to say about me do so behind the block button.
Of
I'm
course.
looking at you, Manjaw.
Yeah, that's
And
typically
so so there have been a few people who have come over into my threads and started popping off their mouths. But when I then attempt to, just have a logical conversation or debate with them, like they just stop responding, or like when someone comes into Stan's chat and says that I was lying on my sworn declaration, and then I call them out about it and let everybody know who they are, they also shut up real quick. So, Marlon.
Got him. Boom. All right. So, Not a Bug says, Airman, he said, I got you on DM me your PO box. Looks like
there are no PO boxes in Japan unless you're on a military base. Everybody has access to my address. It's on the Kiwi Farms. It's in the documents.
There you go. Okay.
Wow.
So Nova Zero, $20. I guess that's Australian. This money is to add salt to the cord.
Ooh, I do it. I got salt.
Boom. So
Salt everywhere.
Manjaw is not a good person. Yeah, I mean that's been pretty well said. I think that person also, I mean, just from seeing the stuff that they tweet, doesn't seem to be playing with the full deck either.
Yeah, it's very toxic.
Now that you think about it, Jesse Pridemore did a post after, I guess it was Tug's show, where I made a comment about her being kicked out of the green room. She made a post on Facebook and tagged me on it. I don't know how she tagged me, because I'm not friends of hers and she's not friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow or another, she figured out a way to do that on Facebook and tagged me on it. And needless to say, someone past AWA director commented about that. He was not happy. If he would have had known about it, he would have corrected that issue. But
it corrected what
he
is
asks,
you kicking her out?
Them getting kicked out, because I'm not the one who kicked her out.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the green room director who kicked her out.
Green room director kicked her out.
So why would that?
She says that she didn't get kicked out. She had never been kicked out of the green room. But
wrote it sounded like that she was banned, and I said that's not what I said. I said she was kicked out of the green room. There's two different things. It's not the same thing.
So only certain staff are allowed to be in the green room, and actually, unless you were a director or an AD, or a guest, you were not supposed to be in the green room. You weren't even supposed to be able to get access to it. And then they started changing things when Jason was like, "Well, we got to start letting the cosplay guests come in," and we were like, "I guess that was between y'all." But even then, I don't think she was a cosplay guest at that time. She was staffing at AWA. So.
That's wild.
I don't get it. What's the point of posting something, going through the trouble of tagging you in it, when there's a conversation to be had? It's like logic is a natural repellent to these people, and the idea of talking things out is a far gone conclusion.
Yeah, or when they come back with an argument and you're like, that I'm really big on logical discussions for talking out about differences, and things like that. I don't believe in using logical fallacies. I'm not a big fan of personal attacks, although I do keep saying man jaw, but it's mostly because I can't remember her real name, and that's just what everybody calls her. I don't really agree with the way that some of the other YouTubers go after these people talking about their looks or whatever. That's irrelevant. Their arguments are wrong. Their arguments are bad, but at a certain point, these people just won't accept it. This is the fact is there is zero evidence that Vic did anything wrong.
Yeah, right.
But affidavits, but affidavits are not proof. They're statements that something happened, and no one can substantiate that those events occurred. With the exception of Monica's, which Stan cannot substantiate because he said it didn't happen, that he doesn't remember it happening. Obviously, I didn't get assaulted, as Faisal's affidavit says.
Yeah.
Kara Edwards' statement has been disproved by photographs of that event. The Maria Ujima story, and video. The Maria Ujima story has been disproven by photographic evidence. The only real story that holds any water whatsoever is the one with the twins, and nothing in that is wrong unless he actually kissed them against their, when they left. Like, they make it seem like, oh, he kissed us when we tried to leave, even though we told him we didn't want to be kissed. It's like, okay, but then it's he said, she said, and you don't have any way to corroborate your story.
Exactly. And that's the biggest issue, is just like nothing. There's no, and again, and this again bears repeating because it's been said before. It's just like you would think in all this time where all these accusations, that supposedly this whole time where all this stuff was happening, that there would be at least one picture produced, right? Some kind of salacious picture, some screenshot of some text message exchange that was inappropriate, or an email, or something. Something substantive, but nothing. And then no police reports, nothing.
Right.
There's not a thing, and you would expect there to be at least at least one of those things to surface that at least would be questionable, right, in nature,
right.
Nothing.
And their favorite thing so far is that it's like, oh, well, he admitted himself to pulling Jamie's hair, and it's like, well, no, he didn't. He admits to touching her hair in a in a friendly manner. He does not admit. The story that was told is that he grabbed his fingers into her hair at the base of her neck and pulled her head back and said something sexual that she can't recall, but it was 10 years ago. So, he contests every detail of that, other than the fact that his hands touched her hair.
Yeah.
That is not sexual assault.
Yeah, exactly. And Carano, and we were gonna get to that too. The whole Michael Quinn stuff, the Rooster Teeth guy, where there is an actual police report on the matter.
Oh yeah.
Of course, it's still alleged, because there is always the possibility. There always is the possibility that the wife could be crazy. That she might have set up the whole situation. She might have hurt herself and went to who knows, right? That's within the realm of possibility. But the difference in this case is that there's actually something on record. Mm-hmm. There's something on record. There's going to be some kind of tangible evidence that can be referenced regarding Michael Quinn. Correct. As opposed to Vic, where there's nothing outside of just people saying
allegations. Yeah.
So we could play the devil's advocate, right? And it's interesting how when you really give it some thought, you play the devil's advocate and you look into it. Okay, what Jonathan said, maybe this lady's a little bit nutty. Here's the point. She went to the police station. Police corroborated. She was injured. She was shaken up. She wasn't doing too hot, right? Okay, fine. Maybe she did beat herself up. Maybe she did something. That's not outside of the realm of possibility, right? But here's the point. For less than that, Vic has been thrust into the spotlight. And to the people that want to argue the fact that, oh, well, that's some nobody. Listen, this check marks, like you said, Jonathan, this hits all of the check marks that these these dummies like to say.
Well, the narratives that they like to go with, right, in these show media sites, like the Anime News Networks, like the Polygons, the Kotakus, right? If we look at it, on face value here, right? Doesn't it check off the boxes that they usually report on?
Yep.
A white man in power, right? At a executive of a company, right? That has power, that abused the woman.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Physically abused this woman and potentially could have killed her, right?
Threatened to kill
You
her.
know,
according to
threatened to kill her.
allegedly.
Allegedly threatened to kill her. Allegedly held a gun to her head. Allegedly, choked her unconscious. Where if and that's the thing I talked about with Hay the other day because of Hay does BJJ. You know this, right?
Yes.
He does BJJ.
Where's
So
his gi? I know.
and of course he used to take BJJ. Obviously, about chokeholds, and if you hold on to too long, how much brain damage that could potentially cause outside of just passing somebody out if you hold on longer.
The thought process is here, it takes less than 13 pounds of force for you to crush somebody's trachea. So whether he straight up choked her, put her in a guillotine, or went into the traditional rear naked, which I might be going advanced on it, doesn't matter. The police report literally says he beat her up until he got tired.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And no one has anything to say about the matter.
Yeah, not even.
know.
It's perfect. It's perfect fodder for them, right? You would think on the surface, right?
Yeah, I cannot believe that ANN at least hasn't picked this up. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, rumor mill goes to work. ANN jumps all over it. Polygon jumps all over it. Kotaku, I don't know if they actually did it one, but all of these quote unquote media outlets jump all over it. But a man is accused of beating his wife and nearly choking her into unconsciousness. And he did choke her into unconsciousness.
Apparently, he did choke her to the point where she passed out, according to the
police report.
Yeah, the report that was said that he choked
right,
her.
but nobody in the mainstream. There's no mainstream eyes on Rooster Teeth, right? They didn't just have a $3 million grossing movie drop, So it's not lucrative enough for them to write a report on it.
Death Battle doesn't get millions of views with every video.
Well, aren't they owned by Screw Attack?
No, I think that's a part of Rooster Teeth now too. Right?
Did they get bought out? I don't know. Somebody could probably answer that in chat.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat there. I
but bottom line is, it's just like people could probably argue, well, Vic, because somebody tried to, they put a comment saying that to me is, well, Vic's like this cult of personality. This guy's like a nobody that works for a company. It's like, it's not about whether the guy is famous or not. It should be considered high profile because he's an executive of a well-known company that anybody who's been watching YouTube since the beginning or has, just been online for at least, the last 10 years, you at least have heard of Rooster Teeth. It's not like you're not gonna in some kind of passing, because whether or not, like at some point in time, either you've seen or heard of Red versus Blue, or you've seen Ruby, or you've heard of it, or you've heard of some other thing that they've worked on at some point in time, even if you didn't know it was affiliated with them.
Yeah, Death Battle is a part of Rooster Teeth.
Oh, okay, so it is a part of Rooster.
So I guess Boomstick told him, hey, don't snoop around, whatever. Yeah, that's a terrible.
Whatever, you sound like Grover. That doesn't sound like
Grover says, "Don't look into it."
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's just like that enough should warrant a story, right? Because Rooster Teeth itself is high profile enough that it should warrant a story, but nothing.
Yep.
Not a word, not any kind of denouncement of him. And you would think that's another thing too. And this is another thing I mentioned on Hey Stream the other day. You would think, given those circumstances and the way that these people like to virtue signal online, that would be a perfect opportunity to virtue signal too, even if they didn't mention his name. Like, I just want everybody to know that it is not okay to beat your wife. You know what I'm saying? And choke her unconscious. If you are a VP of a company, just because you're a VP of a company, like I would think they would have jumped all over, condemning at least the actions, even if they weren't going to necessarily condemn the guy, right? Because they do that all the time too.
They don't, because as soon as you bring it up, right, and we bring up the logical thing of, hey, this thing happened, it's really bad. We understand it's alleged. But this is a thing that happened. And here we go with allegations, and this thing is huge, right? And the one thing you would think, to Jonathan's point, they would say, hey, man, that's wrong. We stand in solidarity. They love using that phrase. Yeah. We stand in solidarity with the victim. Nothing. Oh, man, you're reaching, bro. You're reaching. That's not the same thing. What a false equivalency. Really? Nice. You caught the point there. Good job, buddy. Good job.
Yeah. Well, it's just, all of these people, these voice actresses that were involved in this talking about, I want him to feel an ounce of the pain that he's caused to other people. Well, here is a person who has felt a lot of pain caused by someone that you guys worked for. And yet you don't have a word for her. You don't have words of condolence for her. You don't have words of support for her. You don't have words of condemnation for him.
Much less any sympathy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
true.
Dahlin with more truth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just like nothing, not even in passing. Hey, we hope that this person is okay.
Yeah.
We heard about
the difference is that they are still employed by Rooster Teeth.
So you
or they are still contractors of Rooster Teeth.
More stones?
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah.
Hey, good night, not a bug.
Yeah, night, not a bug.
Not a bug. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Appreciate you, man.
But I mean, I honestly think that has a great deal to do with it. Is they still are employed,
That's crazy.
Yeah, but even then, even being employed, you would think that they would, again, even if they're not mentioning names, just condemn the action or something, or
as high as they are on their morals.
Yeah, exactly, as high as they are on their morals.
No, John. Where are those hundreds of women that have gone against Vic? Where are they?
Yeah, exactly. That was
hundreds of women.
Yeah, people are still waiting.
Ron, hundreds of women. When you have 12 affidavits and 2 of those are from convention runners stating why they canceled Vic, which I don't think helps you. You're like hundreds.
Yeah, and that's another ridiculous thing too. And I think you said that best on that stream with Ricada. Remember when I asked you, Stan? I asked you about convention.
I would be the first person calling the police.
Exactly. See, and that's most promoters that I know, at least, would say the same exact thing. They'd be like,
good Lord, the liability.
Nobody would ever risk the integrity of their show or, over, covering for a scumbag. Nobody would. I don't know anybody that I've known that's a promoter that would ever do such a thing. They would ever risk such a thing. It's not worth it.
Not if they're reputable.
No, not at all. Well, even then, it's just like not if they take their business seriously, and if they want it to flourish, they're not going to take the risk. It's just there's no upside to it. There's absolutely no upside to any kind of a cover up.
Well, think about what Erica and what Stan are kind of confirming here. It's a money sink. People aren't making money. They're there for the passion. There's so many things that need to go into getting this convention going. Are you serious? You would, after all of that planning and after all of that work, you're going to risk it to cover for somebody?
Some dummy who can't, be a lawful citizen. You know what I mean? That's not. It makes no sense, and it's absurd for them to say, oh well, we knew, but And it's just like, okay, well, and that's when I had the amazing Lucas on this way. He says, well, if you ain't doing something, well, now I'm looking at you, pimping. That's his words. He's like, I'm looking at you, pimping. He's like, if you ain't doing nothing about it, you're telling me this dude is doing all this stuff, but you're not going to do nothing about it. It's like, come on.
Problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, they like to say this whole, conspiracy. I was like, but really, I mean, you would have to, if you imagine that Vic perhaps went to 30 conventions every year. We'll say conservatively 25 to 30 conventions every year for the last 20 years-ish on average. And there's not a single piece of paper for a report. I stand by my statement that if Vic had done something wrong, his handler would have known about it, and not a single handler of Vic's has come forward to say, yeah, I saw 2 girls coming out of his room, or, I saw this, because you don't get a lot past your handler, especially if they're doing their job correctly.
Exactly. Yeah. Good handler, they're basically, I don't want to say so much as they're your babysitter.
Yeah.
They live up. They live up to the handler.
Let me tell you something. Nothing gets past the handler. Not even a hand towel.
It was only a hand towel.
But once they're worth their weight, they're responsible. They're going to make sure that you're going to be. If you got a schedule for the weekend, they're going to make sure that you're on schedule. That you're supposed to be fulfilling.
Right. And on top of all of that, something that's a little bit different than for most voice actors is that Vic also has a massive merchandise table. There's a suitcase. I hate that suitcase. There's a suitcase that he has that's full of CDs and the headshots and stuff like that. And usually there are another 2 or 3 people. So it's usually Vic, his handler, someone who's taking photos, and then a whole nother table with 1 or 2 other people sitting at it who are exclusively selling the merchandise. So at any time when Vic is out of signing, there are probably 4 other people around, and not to mention everybody who's in the line, and just somehow magically no one has ever
monitoring the line.
Right. Well, I don't ever trust there to be people monitoring the lines anymore. but you know, all of this time, over 20 years, not a single person has caught a photo or anything like that. You know, no video, nothing. I mean, I found a picture of a voice actor, you know, staring at a young woman's backside where she was showing him a tattoo. I have a picture of a voice actor signing the miniskirt on a girl who was at the time the picture was taken 16 years old. Ooh. You know, all of this stuff. But you know, there are all these photos that could be taken out of context. I mean, obviously saying that like that, that's my point, is that in the context, it's not, you know, it's not bad. It's she wanted to show him her tattoo that she had because he liked tattoos. And so she pulled her pants down to show the tattoo and someone took a picture right then. Or the girl who was getting, you know, the voice actor is leaning over to sign her skirt. Well, he's signing her skirt because she's in the fan club and everybody was getting their skirt signed, you know, out of context. Oh my God, he signed a 16-year-old girl's skirt.
Yeah. Get the pitchforks.
You know.
Yeah,
it's just there. Not a piece of tangible evidence other than first person or second person or third person accounts.
Yeah,
always
yeah,
third person,
and it's usually always that. Like I told you about, there was this guy that I saw,
and always 3 months after the show is over.
Yep.
Oh yeah. He assaulted me. He followed me out to my car, like that Kawaii Con story. He followed me out to my car. He was being so aggressive, blah blah blah. And so what? You waited 6-8 months to tell somebody? You know.
He was still following me.
he's here right now. Don't you see him? He's right there.
He's right there.
Yeah, it's like nobody there. It's just like, oh, you're a crazy person.
Oh,
okay.
I see.
It all makes sense now.
I believe the foot massage story though. Vic would be able to give a mean massage with just his feet. He's that much of a beast.
What?
Yeah, it's one of those stories from that Tumblr vlog where they literally said this is all fake. Somebody posted a humorous story and said, I can't remember when, but I was at a con and I was hiding underneath the table. And I believe it was Vic. He had these awesome boots on. He took the boots off and gave me a wonderful massage on my back. And I fell asleep.
It was one of the fake stories. Yeah, I think I remember that.
But that was the best one.
Yeah, it was. I think it was somebody just trolling the rest of them.
Yeah,
in the thing.
They're all idiots.
Yeah, that Tumblr blog was nonsense. I've been aware of that Tumblr blog for quite a few years because that is where all of the ridiculous stories used to pop up.
Yeah.
So and there were some people who that was sort of what they did. They would keep an eye on that part of the social media, and when ridiculous stories would pop up, they would, you know, they would do what Kiwi Farms does, but on a smaller level. They would, you know, counter that misinformation with the correct information. And
gotcha.
Is it just me, or did anybody else feel icky going through Tumblr?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. That's why I don't go on there. So I wanted to ask you something.
I'm glad I had missed all that.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
Yeah,
you didn't miss much.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to ask you something, Stans, if you could help me dispel something here.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one of the things that I saw people were trying to post online was, well, you see stuff like this happens at conventions and they have non-disclosure agreements for the attendees to make sure that the word, you know, never gets out. So
okay. Floor is yours.
Yeah. So you know,
produce that document that says that you had a non-disclosure agreement, or that you had agreed to a non-disclosure agreement. Right.
See, I don't know about you. Well, I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious, but I have never heard ever of a convention ever having non-disclosure agreements for attendees ever.
If only this could
Ever.
be if
For
only-
attendees?
For
attendees.
attendees.
No.
I'm like,
No.
that doesn't
No,
exist.
there's-
That's non-disclosure
Now,
agreements.
now
and contracts.
NDAs for guests on their contracts, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's
And I think they better start having NDAs for handlers going forward.
might be a
I
good
mean,
idea.
how would that work? Would it be just this giant document, and before everybody goes in, be sure to sign the NDA on your way in, honey?
Yeah. No, what the purchase of the badge constitutes agreement to the NDA if you're an attendee. That's like, I love how many of them don't know that by buying the badge, they agree to let their picture be used in any format by the convention in perpetuity.
Well, because they don't read the guidelines for shows. It's just
Right.
like it's they
Particularly
never
in AWA and some of my shows, the agreement was on the back of your badge.
Mm-hmm. The photo release, yeah.
yeah.
So if you don't agree to that, you have to turn the badge in. Doesn't mean you get your money back.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the cherry on top.
Well, that's the
Get your
thing.
money
It's
back.
not non-refundable stuff. So, hold on. TLJ Screwdo says, if the skirt signers who I'm thinking of, one of the Kiwis dared KV to go after them because of the fan base and their D&D show has.
Yeah, that is the correct person because I'm the one that posted that photo.
Orale.
There you go.
No
Boom.
chill left.
Stan is hiding no NDAs.
Yeah, I have signed an NDA and Vic made me sign it, but it was for Star Trek.
Yeah, but that's exactly. But that's different. You're working on the production, so that
Wait,
makes
you were
perfect sense.
You were in an episode?
No, she was. Were you?
I was a
Were you in
PA.
an
No, I wasn't in an episode. I was a PA,
Cool.
and we had to sign NDAs about the script and all that stuff.
Wow.
Dash baller.
No, but that's to be expected though for a production.
Yeah,
It makes sense, obviously. So I mean, but yeah, that's par for the course.
We've had some pretty good questions.
Yeah, let's start opening up to questions, and what we'll do is we'll wrap in because we've almost been on for 3 hours at this point.
Not
So
for
we'll
nothing.
wrap in about 50.
I haven't really felt it, honestly.
Yeah, me neither.
It's
It's
so
it's passed by so
You guys
quick.
having fun? You guys good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, you know what else is fun?
Oh,
Oh, it's
I
not
was
doing it.
wondering when you were
The
bringing it
last
up.
Pokemon donut.
Let's do it.
This
Let's
one
do it.
is the Pikachu tail curl.
Nice.
It is a puff donut. It's a different texture. This one is fried and not baked. It's crispy and curly, and it is filled with a banana cream.
What are they?
This little chip comes out.
So is that Pikachu
So-
booty?
Not edible.
It's Pikachu's tail. It's all curled up, and I'm gonna take a bite.
Nice.
Ah, that's a microphone.
Oh.
Mm.
Don't want to eat that. That's not. It's not part of it. It's not chocolate. How is it?
It's very banana-y.
Banana good. Good
So,
potassium.
so Stan, another thing I wanted to ask you about. What would you say
Wait, aren't you
about a
supposed to-
person?
Isn't she supposed to say itadakimasu?
Fuck no.
Okay, got
She's
it.
like, she's like, I'm not going full weeb on this stream. So I'm not going full weeb on this stream. I might live in Japan, but I do have my dignity.
All right, got it. Sorry, go ahead.
But Stan, I
Was
want,
she?
I wanted to ask you, Stan, what would you say to a person that not only what would you say to a convention runner that would tell or just publicly anybody that would comment on a specific post of him to F professionalism? What would you say about a convention promoter that acts that way towards people publicly? What would you say about them or their plans for their business?
Are you looking to fail? Are you starting a new career path of being in debt and maybe to in perpetuity?
Yep.
I mean because that's exactly what you're doing. You're begging people not to go to your show.
Wow.
Yep. That's what I would think too. That's what Mr. Shoe Eater was doing. He said, the guy told you he said like F professionalism. He was talking about people, and he's the one that wants to come up with. I guess he came up with some convention, some consenting convention. It's like, all right, bro. Good luck.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
will
I
be
mean,
going.
not that I'm saying that. Obviously, I'm not condoning people being touched without their consent or anything like that. But it's just the idea of it is stupid, and then just going that extra mile to say, that you're basically being a jerk face to people and putting it out there how much you want to be a jerk face, like that's going to help. It's just like, bro, you're not. To me, it says to me you're not serious about business at all.
Exactly.
If you're going to act that way, because I mean,
I'm not impressed. I'm not intimidated.
no, you're not serious. You're not serious about having a long-term business if you're talking to people like that, and regardless of what public forum it is, whether it be in person, whether it be, on Facebook, Twitter, or what have you, you're not serious about running a long-term business. You're really not. If you're telling people stuff like that.
Consent convention.
Yeah, I forgot what it was called. I know
ConsentCon. Yep.
ShadowCon.
Or
ShadowCon.
ShadowCon or some name, but it's ConsentCon.
We had one over here.
So your donuts were your lunch, Erica?
Yeah, that's been my breakfast and lunch.
Balanced breakfast.
I guess his next convention will be bankrupt.
Bankruptcy Con. He can join T. Greg Doucette. I'm sure he could give him some advice.
That guy came kind of out of left field, huh? Didn't he? That
weird.
Yeah, that whole I don't. I'll tell you about that. That's that lawyer, the one that he looks. If he didn't have any ears, he'd look like a penis.
Oh my Lord, jeez! I don't know who you're talking about.
You know what's funny was when I mentioned when I called him Low T, he came out with a post and he put, no, it's High T, Greg.
It's probably it's high T, like kind of I am right now. I'm high.
I might be on a magical trip.
That dude is that's another guy. He just came completely out of the field. He's the guy I told you he's like the lawyer that kind of jumped onto stuff kind of because of some other voice actor, I guess, tagged him in a post and he jumped into
that was the dude that was talking all that nonsense online, giving his opinion.
Yeah, he tweets thousands of times. I don't know. I'm exaggerating
because he's so productive as a lawyer that he has time to tweet.
He's got so much.
That's why he's bankrupt.
Yep.
He is. He's bankrupt. He's going through bankrupt court right now.
Yeah. He's out there talking that good smack, and I'm just like, have you all seen his YouTube channel, by the way?
No.
I actually found his YouTube channel, and it's just like when I heard him talk, I was like, "Oh my Lord!" I was like, "People are right to call him Low T, man." It's just like, homie, it's like his voice is weird. He's got this weird kind of nasally type of high-pitched voice. I'm sure I linked it before. I'll see if I could find it.
But by the way, guys, it kind of goes without saying, but we're gonna say it anyways. Please do not actively go out and harass these people.
No, of course not.
Bother them. Because you're just giving them
make fun
fuel.
of them. Just make fun of them.
You can make fun of them. Memes are the answer, by the way. Somebody put that in the chat. Memes are the answers, but please don't bother these people because all you're going to do is they're going to be like, I'm being harassed online. Boo-hoo.
Yeah, I like how Faisal was like, I was being harassed after we announced that we weren't bringing Vic. I'm like, well, you weren't being harassed. You're the runner of the convention, and people were displaying their displeasure at you uninviting a guest that they wanted to see. That's not harassment. That's how business works.
And then on top of that, you didn't want to really talk with them anyway.
Yeah, they're never looking to start a conversation.
He once told me he could never handle guests because he'd end up slapping them or something like that. I've got that in a message somewhere.
Since Faisal since it was my job to handle the guests.
You are right.
And take that job. He never had to do it.
Yeah, he never interacted with any of them.
Yeah, he never interacted. Well, except that one time he was slipping the envelope to one of our guests, and she later said, "Man, he's creepy." I'm like, yes, he is.
Yeah,
I don't know that story.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It was Shannon McCormick and at RTVA, I guess, is the one that tagged the T. Greg. Mm-hmm. So, that I remember that guy now.
Is Shannon McCormick the guy? Who was the guy that was filming people in the bathroom? That's not the same person, was it?
I think it was
in the bathroom.
No, he walked into DC Douglas. Yeah, he walked into a woman's bathroom and started just filming it.
That broke my heart.
Yeah, I think the guy Shannon McCormick, I think is the guy. He was the one that tried to talk tough about if he saw Tug at a convention. It's like, bro, you ain't gonna do nothing either, bro. It's just like,
It's
come on,
these
man.
people are so
Isn't Shannon McCormick a
unlikable.
VA with Rooster Teeth?
Yeah, he I think works for Rooster Teeth. I
Yeah.
want to say I don't know what he works on. I've never heard of him. It's funny because a lot of these VAs, that's another thing that trips me out about a lot of them is that there's so many of them that act so self-important, and it's just like, bro, who are you? You know what I mean?
But you notice that outside of Sabat and Schimmel, no other of the really like, I guess what Tater Tot, what's Tatum? He's made some comments. That's what I always call him, Tater Tot. That's what his name is to me.
But tater tots are delicious.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, but I was surprised to see him put his foot in this.
You're right about that guy if he was missing his ears.
Which one? Oh, the T.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. He does. I mean, no joke, man. And then I said that the lady that's been reporting on the Vic stuff, Shannon Grisby, that she looks like a mix between a sun dried tomato and an old man's scrotum sack. It's just,
ouch.
Dude,
Unnecessary.
Hey, I'm just having fun. I
But wait a
don't actually hate any
So
of
the
these
fact
people.
that lawyer
I'm just
looks like
having fun.
Is that
at
the
their
reason
expense.
why he inserted himself in the conversation?
That could be why. You might.
But
Yeah, that might be why. That might be why he tried to thrust himself into the situation.
Sorry, not sorry.
The guy is just, I don't know, but I guess and that's the thing. It's just like people like that. It's funny because they'll say stuff about Nick, but then you see the stuff that he's done, like raising money to, I think, for the transcripts and stuff like that. And it's just like, really, bro?
Yeah, bro.
And then to see the need to watermark them, which is funny because it's just like what a dumbass. It's like somebody could just erase the watermark, and somebody did.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody the great people over at Kiwi Farms always
If I still had my Photoshop tools and stuff, I could watermark it so that you couldn't take it off. The problem is he did it in a way that anybody could take it off.
Yeah. And that was the thing. It's just like, and that's what I thought from the beginning. I was like, okay, so you're going to crowdfund people to get the transcripts that you're going to watermark. What's to stop people from just erasing the watermark? And you just paid for people on the other side to be able to use it too without the watermark. Like, I got you guys, bro. Watermark. They erased it. Oh,
yeah.
Or the guys who used it regardless.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, man. It's just like, well, the thing is, I think
it's just so petty. It's like, what? It's like I mean, thanks. Now all we have to do is invest the time to remove the watermark, and now we don't have to pay for the transcript.
Exactly. It's just like, hey, thanks for spending the money, dumbass. You did us a favor.
Too bad about your bankruptcy, but thanks for buying this for us.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's just like, it doesn't make like that. It completely lacks foresight. It's like they thought that they were going to be, I think the whole intent of putting the watermark is just like, if they use my watermark, they're going to be promoting me because, they have to use the transcripts that I put out. And then it's just like, well,
yes, they made fun of them.
Yeah, exactly. And they should be made fun of just for being stupid. And the thing is, they got erased, and it's just like, I can imagine how I did. Oh, I didn't think of that.
This is bad.
This is bad. I spent all that money for that.
Had it done.
It just goes to show that clout chasing and pettiness exist over all walks of life.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I'm going to grab this super chat here from Mr. TLJ Screwjob. Thanks again, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Thoughts on the Sabbath Funny Mafia? I got to admit, I don't know what he's talking about.
I do.
I think the funny leaks and all that, and just the stuff going on.
Oh, the outtakes?
No,
but there's more to it than that. You can go ahead, Erica.
Help me, Erica.
Well, no, I mean the idea is that a great deal of the Funimation recording that's done in studio is done at Okatron, which is Sabbath's studio.
Right.
That just happens to be like right around the corner, and that a great number of the people involved in speaking out have been mostly people that are within this sort of clique. They're calling it the Sabbath Funny Mafia, but it's just like this particular clique of people, because we haven't seen any real comments from the Canadian voice actors. We haven't seen any real comments from most of the LA voice actors. It's only been the Texas ones.
Yeah.
And Sabbath,
Well, mostly the Texas funny ones,
right?
and the other ones, particularly those who work both at Funny and Sentai, have been extremely quiet. In fact, I know that a couple of them put their accounts on protective mode to avoid taking a side and being forced to take a side. So on their Twitter accounts.
That's bananas.
And that's the thing, and it seems like anybody that has tried to come in defense of him has been they've tried to go at Ruben. They tried to go at Ruben, yeah, like Reset Era, and then like stupid Newsweek and Eurogamer. They tried to smear him, like after he was on with me and Flash. I don't know if you guys ever saw that stream, but we kind of addressed that situation kind of in passing, but to see what his thoughts would be, because he's friends with Vic, and like without skipping a beat, almost the next day, like there was a couple websites that commented on. I was like Eurogamer, Newsweek, and one other one I want to say try to smear him. I think Bounding into Comics, so they had more of an, they kind of talked about how these sites try to smear him, but yeah, they were trying to like drag him through the mud because he was like, yeah, he's like, I'm for Vic. Vic's my buddy. It's just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and
Well, he makes a good target to use against mainstream media. Like, look at this guy, he believes in aliens, and then they automatically just like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but he was just easy to go after. But Ruben doesn't need any of the effing anime voice actors. He's he's in a league so much higher than the rest of them are, like with the work he does with the mocap stuff, and it's not, they're not even on this.
Yeah, exactly. He's worked on like Hollywood film productions
Movies,
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Well, and video gaming.
Yeah, stuff like that they wish and dream they could be a part of.
Right, and so he doesn't have to worry about the alienating people in an industry that's not his primary source of income.
Yeah, and that went away really quick because he didn't even pay attention to. Because I remember,
well, it kind of got overshadowed by the fact that he almost got killed.
Yeah, well, the thing is, that's the thing. When he almost got killed, that was prior to him coming on with me.
Was that before that? Okay.
Yeah, they didn't really cover it that much, but when he even just talked about the Vic stuff in passing, they saw the need to like talk about it. I'm just like, where were all these sites when he almost got killed? I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some that did report about it, but Newsweek didn't report about it, and neither did like Eurogamer. It was other like probably sites that have been established online and to a smaller degree, but that covered it a little bit. I know like Bounding into Comics covered it, and like One Angry Gamer and some of the other smaller gaming sites, not the ones that are the level of these other ones that end up covering the stuff that he said about Vic. But they did kind of talk about it in passing, but like, yeah, where were they for that? But he says something that they're not of the same opinion of, and all of a sudden that becomes newsworthy.
Yeah.
And I remember he told me like the ANN, and that's all I'll say because I'm not going to say specifically who it was from ANN. But somebody from ANN reached out to him trying to get a comment from him like the very next day after he was on the stream with me to to get a comment from him about the Vic stuff. And he basically went down the list and told me who was trying to contact them, and I said, don't talk to them, don't talk to them, don't talk to them, don't talk to them. And it was not because of silencing anything, but just to tell them, bro, they're gonna write a hit.
There's a twist. Yeah, they'll twist everything you say.
If you talk to the person from that site, they're going to write a hit piece from you. If you talk to a person from that site, they're going to write a hit piece from you.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave him the 4-1. I said this site's okay. This site will give you a fair shake. This site, I told him all the ones that if anybody from these sites, or if any of these sites hit you up, they'll probably give you a fair shake. I said if anybody from this site hit you up, they're gonna write a hit piece on you.
Don't do it.
And the person, the person that contacted Ruben was one of the people that wrote a smear piece on Vic, and I was just like, yeah, don't.
I wonder if it's the same ANN person who contacted me, Lindsay Loveridge.
I am not going to confirm nor deny anything.
Okay.
Hey, look, there's a super chat.
There's a super chat. When ANN attempts to contact you, don't answer. Exactly.
Good.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
But
good talk. Yeah.
By the way,
well, and it's go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Erica.
I think it's interesting how they've just completely ignored all the people who are standing up for Vic. Like they ignore me, they ignore Ruben, they ignore Chuck, but then Chuck vacillates back and forth, so they only pay attention to him when he's on the negative side. And then, which I understand them not listening to Lisa because she's not in the anime community, but like it's so strange how like no one's come forward, no one said anything to support Vic, and I'm like, well, yes, we have. You guys just ignore us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we don't fit your narrative, especially not me because I'm a woman. You know?
Oh, dear Lord. Oh, you went there. What I was going to say.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know.
Oh no, they left us alone on stream, Stan. Hey guys, you're broken. Hey, wait, are they broken?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
There we go.
Yeah, must hit a like spike. That was weird. Okay.
They're like, it's getting too good.
We're still here. We can still hear
Yeah.
y'all. I don't know what happened. I guess it was,
Oh, okay.
So what I was going to say was, just because I keep an eye on the chat, that's kind of where my eyes wander off to. And I do want to elaborate on this. No one here is saying that the individuals who are against Vic can't run GoFundMes or ask for money. They certainly can. But the big issue is, what are they spending it on? In the case of Vic's situation, Vic didn't ask for anything.
No.
He didn't ask for it. And whatever's left over after the proceedings, he is donating to charity. Okay? He's got something to show for what's being raised for him. So, I mean, if Mars Girl or any of these other people want to go ahead and do a GoFundMe, that's fine. But remember the key thing here. Vic didn't ask for this.
Yeah, he's not the one that set it up. He didn't have anything to do with it. He doesn't have any access to the money. He's not going to see any of the money. He probably doesn't even know how much money is in it, honestly, knowing him. So
he might have looked it up.
No, I mean, well, he apparently didn't know when he was deposed,
he didn't know.
Yeah, when
so
they had him on the stand.
There you go.
But either way, I mean, again, you have people running GoFundMes for freaking transcripts. I mean, it's just like, come on, man.
I mean,
they have the audacity to be like, oh well, Nick's a grifter. It's just like, what the hell does that make you, bro?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's just like you're literally like you're having GoFundMes for transcripts. You know what I mean? As a kind of gotcha towards people on the opposing side. You know what I mean? And even that like blows up in your face, and it's just like you're not thinking. None of what you're doing is well thought out, and it's not really going to be anything substantive.
It's a pattern of behavior, because didn't Pridemore start a GoFundMe so she could pay her rent?
Oh, she said that her friend started it to pay for her rent.
Sure.
She's like, my friend started this for me. I didn't ask for it. And Mars Girl has done GoFundMes for like oil changes on her car and things like that.
I thought she rides a bike. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know what anybody does, but it's ridiculous. It's just that whole, that whole side of stuff. They're just, I don't get them. And then the stuff that they want to talk, but they'll take everything. It's interesting too. One thing that I saw, like with the Rooster Teeth situation, right? With Michael Quinn, it's like, I saw that there was people saying like, let's wait and see when it goes to court if he's guilty or not. It's just like
it going to court is not even to establish his guilt or not. It was only to establish whether or not those people defamed him. And that's something that, I'm sorry, this is like it's a raw nerve for me. These people going like, well, he lost the case, so he's guilty. No, he's not. The case was to determine whether or not the people committed defamation and tortious interference. It has nothing to do with Vic being guilty. It was not a criminal trial. He was not on trial having been accused of doing something wrong. He is suing them for defamation. And if the court throws it out on the TCPA, that doesn't prove that he is guilty. All that proves is that the court believes that those people were exercising their First Right Amendment to speak, and that their speech did not harm him. That doesn't make it him automatically guilty of what they accused him. It just means that the court believes that they were not damaging him when exercising their First Amendment rights to speech. Well,
that's one thing that I said, like, I think after the first, I guess when they had that hearing that one time and things didn't go well, there was a lot of people that were disappointed. And I think I was on with Crow. I don't know if Crow is here in the chat, but I was on with him to talk about it. And I said, look, this is whether or not I mean, everybody knew this was a possibility that he could get the case dismissed and this, that, or the other. You know, anybody that was really paying attention to what was going on, this was always going to be a possibility. But I said one thing that I kept repeating was like, look, it doesn't speak to his guilt or innocence in the matter because it wasn't a criminal trial. It's not like he was going to go to jail if he lost. You know what I mean? And it just didn't go his way. That's it. This case just didn't go his way, but it's still not going to speak to his guilt or innocence of these things that he's been accused of, because that's not why he's there to begin with. It's just, okay, this whole lawsuit just ain't going to go nowhere. That's all that means.
Yeah.
You know, if, you know, with the case being dismissed, and it's just like, and one thing I would say, and I'll say it again, because I think it bears repeating, is that, you know, there's already kind of, you know, you got to take the small victories, and there's a bit of a moral victory in the sense that he at least, you know, fought back, you know what I mean? And he's still continuing to fight back, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You know, whether it turns out that it goes in his favor or not in the end, the bottom line is he didn't sit there. He didn't just lay down and die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He tried to fight to some degree to the best of his ability, what was within his means to do, even if it doesn't go his way. And in a sense, you know, I think that's a victory in and of itself. You know, of course, it will feel nice to kind of, you know, also say, oh, here's, you know, got a nice little bit of money too on top of everything. But, you know, I think that's really going to serve more as just, you know, that's just kind of more of the icing on the cake. I mean, I think, like I said, the biggest victory will be the fact that,
well, yeah, I agree. The biggest victory was that he fought back, but
exactly,
as a sideline victory of proving that in the court of public opinion, since this is how it first started, that now everybody knows that what the real story is with these folks.
Yeah. Well, I think 100% that if he had not fought back, he would never have gotten any jobs back. But even if he doesn't win the TCPA case, I firmly believe that without going through this TCPA hearing, that so much of this evidence about what these people saying being false would never have come forward, would never have been able to have been found to be, you know, to use to disprove their statements. And that he's still getting work. He still does work for other dubbing companies. It's just not Funimation and Rooster Teeth. We haven't seen any, you know, none of the other studios that he dubs for have made any statements. So, you know, and his fans have really stepped up and have supported him. And I don't know, I think he still would have had his fans supporting him if he hadn't have fought back, but I don't think he would have gotten his conventions back. So
yeah.
Him getting convention appearances back again is a good thing.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is just the fact that it spotlights, you know, these people, you know, that he used to work with too. It shows them you know, it kind of puts a spotlight on them to show some of the shady stuff, you know, and bringing that to light that they're willing to do. You know, it's, you know.
So just opening things up for questions, as John had said earlier. Sorry, we kind of got sidetracked there. I think there was one from a Naji Rumbu for Erica. If you can scroll up a little bit.
what's the name?
Naji Rumbu.
Am I tagged in it?
Well, I already said it on the farms. If they want to make Vic guilty, they need to press charges and then do it, to kind of go with John's point earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, Vic isn't guilty until you charge him with something and then prove that is correct in a court of law. I mean, that's the end, the beginning and the end of it. Like, he's not guilty of these things unless you could prove it. Someone did ask
that. Yeah. We get Monica press charges against Vic for sexual assault.
But then she's like, but we know it's outside. We know it's outside of the statute of limitations. So, which is why we're doing it in the court of public opinion instead.
So did she look it up to say, because it's in Oklahoma? So it's passed. She knew that for a fact that was past statute of limitations for Oklahoma.
I don't know, but I know that she has made statement. That's she and Marky. That's why I believe Marky made a post where she's like, all we can do is hope that someone who has recently been assaulted by him comes forward. But she and Marky made comments about what happened to them having been outside of the statute of limitations to prosecute. It doesn't even matter that it's outside of the statute of limitations. It matters is that you didn't even think to do it until this became a thing.
Well, not to give anybody ideas or anything like that. There's one state where there is no statute of limitations, and we found out about this last year in another case. And I know that Vic's been there. So, will somebody come around and file charges against Vic?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's don't encourage ridiculous salaciousness. But yeah, it's just, I see there's a question from the obscure anime guy, but I'm not actually sure whether he's asking questions in good faith or not. So
doesn't seem like it, but
no, but the thing is, like, even if he the obscure anime guy, I don't know what side you're on. Don't care. It's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. Even if we could agree to disagree. That's fine as long as you're not
and maybe
being derogatory towards anybody else in the chat, and being civil. That's fine.
Yeah, and in case you haven't heard this before, I'm kind of in the same bandwagon that John is. We hope Vic isn't guilty. We really do. We hope.
But if he is,
exactly.
Yeah. If it
so
turns
far
out
there hasn't been evidence, regardless of who was chosen as his lawyer, the fans willingly gave that money and paid for it. Ty did his job so far he's done a pretty good job. And to top it off, I would say this. Let's not ignore this, and I'm not saying anything negative. Rekida's gone on the record to say this plenty. Chup had a previous case before this one where his decision had to be overturned. And we can say
he had something I believe he had an appeal before. I don't know for TCPA because I think Nick
had one of his decisions overturned.
Nick hadn't found anything to suggest that he had a TCPA appeal, but he had some. There was some. He's been appealed before on something.
Correct.
Apparently.
And now moving forward past that point, he did again paraphrasing here. He did rush through the case, and now it's taking a slowdown, and he's being a little bit more careful with it. So remember something, that even if this doesn't go through with Chup overseeing it as judge, doesn't mean that the party's over, buddy.
Well, even then, again, like I said, even if it turns out that the appellate court doesn't side with him, again, I think you got to take. There is good to come out of this, like I said, because it obviously exposes the hypocrisy of Funimation that people already. It's not a matter, I think, anymore of what's been rumored about Funimation anymore, because I've heard rumors about Funimation for years about different kind of discretions that have happened there, but this kind of just showcases that a little bit more, and just they kind of put themselves out and kind of showed their hand too themselves, by the stuff that they even tweeted out, not being very smart about how they tweeted out, like with the whole, when they let him go, for example. Like, I've never seen a company do that per se. I've never seen a corporation. I've seen corporations put out there and say, okay, we've ended our business relationship with this person. They will no longer be working with, and that's it. And they don't say anything more. They just say, hey, we've parted ways. We'll no longer be employing this person, or we no longer have a business relationship with this person. And that's it. And they don't elaborate any more than that. Kind of. That's the one thing I will say, Rooster Teeth did right. They didn't get into details. They just said, hey, look, we no longer have a business relationship with this person, and this part is going to be recast, and that's it. And they left.
But why did they even feel the need to have to make this termination a public statement?
Of course, yeah. They don't have to, but that's not that unusual, though, is what I'm saying in regards to handling it like that. What was unusual that I found that Funimation did was that they were like, that they mentioned an investigation. I'm like, that's kind of weird. I'm like, the fact that they would make it a point to mention that they had an investigation, and then, and let them go. And then on top of that was what the subsequent tweets after that, where they're like, hey, harassment of any kind is not allowed. And I'm like, okay, that's not very smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, what is somebody going to draw from that? You know what I mean?
Right. What kind of inference is going to be drawn from that? Yeah. Well, and I will not believe that there is an internal investigation until someone produces the proof.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
Like-
it seems like their internal investigation was really relegated to just a few phone calls, and I'm like, that's not really what I'm
Yeah.
like. I don't know any company when they do an investigation that all they do is, hey, yeah, oh, he did that. Well, you're credible.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, how do you determine that?
Because
you know,
I want to say this it's very important, because I know we're there's a little bit of assumption going on here. We try to explain ourselves the best that we can, because remember, we've been following this for months. But to an Andrew Cooley, no, that isn't all Funimation said. Funimation actually made a statement saying that they did an internal investigation. They made a really weird tweet. That's why they're in court right now. Unlike Rooster Teeth did just make a plain old vanilla statement. We've decided to part ways with Vic Mignogna. He'll no longer.
we have. We have.
Sure.
They just made it. They just declared that they were no longer going to work with him. You know, that their business relationship's over and that they're recasting the role, and that's it.
Yeah,
they didn't get to any specifics.
Funimation went a little extra, buddy, and they went a little bit further than that. I suggest you read the tweet for yourself. But no, that isn't all they said. Also, guys, real quick here, I'm dumb on this part here. They're talking something about Ty dropping the ball on extra security for Vic. I'm lost here. What's going on with that? What are they talking about?
I have no idea, but
Kamea-Khan?
See that.
No, because what happened is that the only reason Vic got to go back to Kamea-Khan was, so the original contract was breached. Kamea-Khan disinvited him. They breached their contract. I believe that they were told that if they did not re-invite him, that they would be facing some legal repercussions for breaching the contract. They agreed to re-invite him, but they changed the terms of the original contract, saying that he would not be allowed to be on panels with other guests, that he would have to sign in a different location, and that he would have to personally provide additional security during the event.
Mm-hmm. That's what
I believe that's what they're talking about.
Okay. Andrew Cooley, that's not what we're not arguing that. What you're saying, Texas is a right to work state, and really at any right to work state, nobody has to give any kind of specific reason why they fire you in a right to work state.
By the way,
that's how that works.
Florida's right to work.
Yeah, Florida's a right to work state. The thing is, what was unusual is the fact that they mentioned that they did an investigation. That's not something that companies typically will mention when they part ways with somebody. That's not really protocol. They don't need to go into those kind of specifics. And what was even more unusual was that they added after that, which was the fact them saying kind of harassment of any kind is not okay, which would infer based on what they previously said that that's why they fired him. You know what I'm saying? That's what somebody would infer from that. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, that doesn't mean necessarily that's what they meant, but it's very suspect when you tweet that right after you tweeted all the previous stuff.
They did not. They tweeted it, and then they did not make a separate tweet. They put it as a response to their first tweet.
Yeah, they didn't clarify after that. So that's the whole thing. It's not a matter of, well, they said that they did this and they fired. Yeah, they could do that, like I said, because it is a right to work state where they don't have to have a good reason to fire you. They could just fire you. You know what I mean? Correct. They don't. You know,
everybody that's on that stand, everybody that is in court right now with what's going on with.
Okay, you might as well just stop engaging with him.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. No. I was just gonna say that everybody that said anything that's there, they said salacious things and they said inappropriate things. Period. That's all the people that are there. Rooster Teeth is not on the stand. They're not part of this court case.
That doesn't, Andrew Cooley, that doesn't fly, because it doesn't matter if people were tweeting at them. You know what I mean? People were tweeting at them over the funny leaks and they said nothing. So that your argument there falls dead in the water, my friend. I'm sorry.
Anyways, let's move on and let's get something else, because you know how this works. You know.
Yeah. Any more questions from Zichet? Someone did ask me, the Oblivion did ask, and I'll answer it because I don't think it's that leading of a question.
Sure.
He asked me how I felt about Vic having not read the lawsuit paperwork. To that, I would answer that if you've never been in a lawsuit, that's a relatively, important question to ask. Well, why hasn't he read it? Well, most people don't read their own lawsuits. It's a massive document. The reason you hire a lawyer is because you don't understand how the law works. You're a layman. That's why you hire a professional. And it doesn't behoove him to read the legal document itself, because he trusts that his lawyer knows what he's doing and is going to do it. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with him having not read the lawsuit. So
yeah, I mean, I don't even, dude, like I saw a friend of mine's divorce paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
That junk was like 6 inches tall. That's
yeah. Oh yeah.
No, thank you.
I mean, I imagine the way it went was Vic said, make this stop, get them to stop. They're destroying my career. And that's what he told Ty to do. And that's what Ty is somewhat doing, or trying to do.
Trying to do, sure.
Yeah.
Again, the victory is he's doing something about it and not taking it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know why people are just doing these victory laps. He said he didn't read his own lawsuit. Does that make any sense? Like, did you see it? I have. I've read the lawsuit. I don't know why. It's 1,000,000 pages long. Like,
yeah, it's bananas. It's bananas. So real quick, go ahead. Huh?
Don't do it.
El argumento de él.
Don't
Lo
do it.
destruyó él mismo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lo destruyó él mismo.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need I mean, Andrew Cooley, appreciate you being here, even if you disagree.
Appreciate
you just kind of destroyed your own argument, bud.
Yeah. But that's all right. That's all. Anybody seen that video, that Skype video? Sorry we couldn't Skype tonight, girl. That's all right. We'll talk. Anyways, anybody have any different questions aside from that? Because we're going in circles on that one.
Yeah, and it's about time to wrap this, because we've been going pretty long. So
absolutely. Although it's been a blast and a half. So real quick there, while we maybe get some good questions here. Stan, I have recently been watching oh my gosh, Lupin the Third.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get a chance to watch any of that? Did you enjoy it?
I've watched some of the movies, the past movies,
right?
Particularly the Miyazaki ones.
Yeah,
particularly Miyazaki TV episodes. If you've ever seen those.
I'm trying to watch it in chronological order, so I'm pretty much through the first season. I know that's Hayao Miyazaki. I believe directed the first 4 or 5 episodes. I could be wrong, but man, what a wild ride! The first 10 episodes, man, it varies. I was like, wondering, I'm like, they let this air on TV? What the heck am I watching?
Isn't that just wild and wonderful?
Yes, it is. It is. I watch some 80s movies every now and then, and I go, really? That happened? There's let me see what else. John's a real big Gundam fan, but just I don't know why.
I like I've seen up to, the thing is, I've seen some of Wing, not a whole lot. I saw the original Gundam, loved it, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Gundam is the original one, even though one could look at the animation and say it hasn't aged well. I still think it's great. Really liked Z Gundam.
We can get past that, yeah.
Z Gundam is. Is great.
It's old, hasn't aged well, but I still like Galaxy Express 39. By the way, Esme, take more money, you adults. Hugs, you guys.
Appreciate
Hugs
it.
back. Hugs
Appreciate
back,
it.
Esme.
Thank you
yeah,
for
but Galaxy Express 39 was good. Did you guys see the 3D? What's it called? Captain Harrock movie. Did you guys watch it?
The Captain Harlock, I watched that.
Yeah, it was so beautiful, but
it was okay. I didn't
know the animation was pretty.
Yeah, the animation was okay.
But I was like,
the
what?
Animation, but it was.
You guys can't push a thruster past max.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Jeremy Hembry is asking, and I guess either one of you, either you, Erica, or you, Stan, can answer this. Did you have fun working with Vic?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would call it fun.
Yeah,
it's
fun
just stressful.
In its unique way,
Well, I mean, it's a job, although you're not getting paid for it. It is a job, and I equate it to running around like a chicken with your head cut off for 3 days, and the building is on fire, because that's how it feels all the time. That's how it always felt. I was never having fun during the convention. It was always after the convention when I would have time to stop and breathe and stop being completely fueled by Red Bull, where I'd be like, oh yeah, that was pretty fun. But usually during it, it's usually just firefighting the entire time. If you're at an autograph signing or if you're at a panel, what can go wrong will go wrong. So I would say not because of who I was with, but just that particular job in general does not lend itself to being the most fun in the world.
You are a warrior.
What about you, Stan?
I think that in its way can be fun, the challenges and stuff like that. But then it gets grating when it's like the same thing happens the next day, and I'm like, what happened? We had fixed this, we took care of it, then it becomes a problem the next day. Why does it happen again? And then you find out, okay, it's some other third parties that flubbed up, or another department decide, hey, we could borrow that. And
chains of command and chains of custody at anime conventions are very poorly defined.
That's wild.
Not well established ground rules.
Which is why I just started buying Apple and Mac adapters for myself to take to conventions, because Vic always used a Mac and nobody's stuff ever had none of the conventions ever had Mac cables to hook into the projectors and
Lloyd
stuff.
did his presentation, his 25th year presentation, part 1, on his Mac.
Did he really?
And Gordon is scrambling to find a connector.
I tell you, it's now.
Every time, it's not the first time we've gone through that same problem, and yet it still happens.
Every time. Well, or people don't do so in some conventions, the guests are given like a sheet to fill out what they need for a panel. And they're supposed to put things like connector cables or projectors or, pointers or things like that on that list. But a lot of times they don't. They're just like, no, it's a convention. They'll have everything I need. And they're like, well, we might have it, but it's going to be in the tech room and not in the panel when the panel starts. And
if we're lucky.
If we're lucky. Like I said, that's why I just went out and bought them and started carrying them to all the conventions I went to.
So I'm judging by your statement just real quick here, Dave. I see you. Twinkle Nora Rock Me. It sounds like a wonderful animated nightmare. I'll check it out. If it's really bad, 2 thumbs up, buddy.
Maybe that's what we should do. I mean, if y'all would be willing to come back on again together, somewhere, if we could figure out scheduling, maybe we should do that next time. It's just have an anime, more of an anime stream. Maybe get Hay up in here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Hay loves his waifus, so.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, but we could probably talk more than just that.
You know why I'm giving you the look. You know why I'm giving you the look.
Mm-hmm.
I really do want to formally meet Hay and have a nice conversation. He's a guy.
He's
a cutie. You'll like him.
He's a good dude, and I think it would be a fun conversation to have him be a part of. Because Hay, the thing I love about Hay, it cracks me up, and I think most people in the chat here would agree that watch his stuff, is that Hay is neurotic when it comes to certain things. I think that comes across on basically comes across as a video. It's not an insult at all. I think it's one of his better qualities, honestly. So I think it's having him be a part of conversation like this, I think
we're all a little bit neurotic. I can admit right now that I'm neurotic when it comes to like cables. Like when I used to do the video game events and we had our guy that would do the streaming, he would plug the cables and I'd be like, this is a mess. And I would just rewire everything. My home theater, it's got to be the same way. I have twisty ties, zip ties for everything. That's my neurosis right there, honestly.
Yeah. So
post this on the farm? Really?
Yeah, post it on the farm. Oh, geez. Right.
I told you, the farms have been very kind to me, and I try to be kind to the farms.
Yes. I guess you're going to have to.
You have to remember who got you to the party.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this.
No, Faisal got me to the party, but it was Kiwi Farms that made sure my drink didn't get refilled.
Hey, there you go. Nice. They looked out.
Yeah.
But I guess with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it here, because we've gone 3 hours and 30 minutes at this point. But I want to thank both of y'all for being here. I think it was a fun stream, a nice little productive stream. We had our fun, we had our laughs, and just so everybody knows, even people in chat that might be kick Vic. Where look, we're just doing this fun. We don't have no ill will towards
Absolutely
anybody or
not.
wish anything bad to happen to any of these people. But look, hey, look, if they do dumb stuff, we like laughing at them. It's just fun. It's all in good. It's all in good fun. There really is no ill will, at least not for me.
Unlike on the other side, we're open to a civil discussion as long as you keep this civil.
And I think we had a
as long as
couple
you keep it
people
friendly.
in here. We had a couple people in here that were, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And there's no ill will towards who is Andrew Cooley or
Obscure
obscure anime guy. It's
That's
cool as
fine.
long as you're acting decent. We're happy to have you here, honestly. And
You're
you'll notice that people in this chat are very civil
Yep.
and very nice. And it's just like
Return the favor.
we're
Stay civil,
good.
Stay nice.
We're good. Just stay civil and stay nice, and we could have a conversation about it even if we don't agree. It's fine. It's all good. You could think what you want. We'll think what we want. It's
just
whatever.
Don't stir the pudding because you'll go to jail.
All right, so I guess if y'all want to plug anything, now would be the time to do it.
Plug time.
If y'all want to plug it.
All right, guys.
So I've recently started adding content to my YouTube channel. So if you folks have a chance to go on over to it's Airy Mean, go on over to my YouTube channel and say hi. It's Airy Mean Adventures. So I recently uploaded a video where I went on an adventure to go to a Japanese live action role play event, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to be probably posting a video series soon here about logical fallacies. I like logic and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a little short series of like 3-minute videos about logical fallacies, how to spot them, how to talk around them, using examples from this whole debacle. So I'll be taking tweets and comments from people and
Yep, I linked Erica's channel there in the chat. So for those,
thank you.
I'll spam it again so you guys could check it out. Charizard Ranger says, plug in the Toys That Made Us Power Rangers episode with you and Andre. It's awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad you watched it, man. Yeah, for those of you that are in the chat that don't know, yes, I am in the Toys That Made Us.
This is why you get a subscription to Netflix.
The Toys That Made Us Season 3. I am in the Power Rangers episode, so you'll see my goofy self on there. And I look really shiny in that episode for some reason.
Yes, you look like a baby.
It's weird. Yeah, I look real weird.
I was there in spirit.
Yeah, it was weird because when I filmed that episode, I remember telling them, I told them to specifically to put my YouTube channel in the lower thirds, but for whatever reasons they put filmmaker, which made me laugh because but I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I mean, I guess I'll make an IMDb
I
now.
thought it was quite fancy.
And they spelled my first name wrong, but that's a minor.
Oh no.
But it's fine.
Don't joke, man.
I was happy to be a part
your
of
name wrong.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, they spelled my first name wrong. I was just like, oh, no, you got to take what you can get.
I have a confession to make to everybody. John has been bugging me for a while now to watch it, and I'm a horrible friend.
I value your opinion.
I know you do, and I still haven't watched it. I will watch it though, I promise. But again, I have seen stills. He really does look shiny and like at least 20 years younger.
It's weird. I was just like, oh, this it made me look a lot younger than what I actually am. But that's cool. I'll take it. But it's just fun. It was just fun. It was just fun to do. So, but this,
Stan, the floor is yours, sir.
The floor is yours to plug away whatever you want there. Kind of dox yourself on the stream. You know what?
Yeah, since I doxed myself, everybody now knows what I look like.
It's just like that guy.
Always in the yellow lane.
I guess.
And I was in what? D-Malay? Is that what you said?
No, I said you doxed yourself. You're always in a yellow lane. They got you.
Oh, yellow? No. Hawaiian shirts, yes.
Stan recommends Hawaiian shirts.
Just wear a regular shirt; they'll never recognize you.
And yes, they do make Hawaiian shirts in long sleeves. So
what, bro?
Mark. They really?
Dave Mark says Eugene Levy. Apparently, you remind him of Eugene Levy.
Everybody says that. That reminds me of somebody else.
Oh, no.
Your anime guy says, you mean to tell me he wasn't a Gundam?
Wow.
Fair play to you.
Yes.
Fair play
yes.
Yep, fair play.
Oh, man, this is a gem. I have to read this one out loud. A user from Kiwi Farm says, as weird as this may seem, Erica kind of looks like a gender-flipped Benedict Cumberbatch.
Wow.
Do I? I have the cheekbones for it. You can't really tell with the microphone, and I've got some sharp cheekbones.
Well, I mean, you look like you could be British
Exactly.
you have that.
I look like I could be British.
So
you
would
have
be-
that you have that UK
Yeah.
high cheekbone.
You go.
Kind of just the nose and the cheekbones.
Go
You know,
for
they
the
have very
Spanish dub.
nose and cheekbones.
Go for the
So,
Spanish dub, Erica. You would be Doctora Extraña. Okay. Just remember that. So so Stan, nothing to plug. You got no plugs, no social.
He's a boomer. He doesn't have social media.
Okay, boomer. Oh my lord. Why?
What do you mean? Other than what?
You have Facebook.
I got
And
Facebook.
you have
and
He has a
Twitter.
tweeter. He has a tweeter. I think you have more
Yeah.
followers. Do you have more followers than I do? I'm sad.
Unfortunately, yes.
Aw, sad face. All right, we gotta pump those
I'm
numbers up,
sorry.
you guys. Gotta get me past Stan.
Yeah,
Wait.
and she does more than I do.
Yeah, well, you were a witness. I was just a supposed victim. So
Well, I guess it
You
was
know.
my saltiness that attracted everybody's attention.
oh my gosh, you have 1,000 more followers than I do. Holy cow!
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
It's
sad.
Live reaction.
Oh man. Oh no. Oh, he's got 1,000 more followers than I
Well, the
do.
farms will have to help you out there.
Oh, I'm disappointed.
You'll catch up. Well, I'll put here. I'll go ahead and put your. That's Erica's channel, y'all. Be sure to subscribe to it. Help her out. Help her grow that following.
Ring that bell.
Help her grow that following. So
Oh man.
we'll
Wrap
go
it up
ahead.
here, guys.
Yeah, I guess
What's your Twitter account?
At Sifa Seegard.
No, your Twitter.
800, and you have 1,889, and I only have 818.
And a total number of tweets of what?
Oh well, you're just gonna make it worse. I don't know how many tweets I've made. Is there something that tells me that? What?
Yeah, go to your profile.
Wait, go to my profile.
Look
Who's the boomer?
under your name.
Under my name, it just says my handle. It says I'm following 125 people, and I have 818
No.
followers.
At the very top.
I'm at the very top.
No.
Oh, 982.
There we
it's
go.
happening live.
Shameless.
It's happening live.
Oh, no.
Versus my 416.
Yeah, but I've been posting Japan stuff for everybody.
I
That's what you
know.
gotta do. You gotta.
Fine.
This is a pretty targeted audience. I mean, it's mostly weebs and Kiwis, so
You gotta make your channel a J vlogging channel.
So wait,
then it'll blow up.
So it would be Kiweebs.
Kiwibs. Oh, that's
There
a
you go.
great name.
Hashtag it. Hurry, so you can be the first.
Hashtag
Hashtag it now,
Yeah.
Erica. You got to get on Twitter and hashtag it.
hashtag Kiwibs.
All right, so we'll go ahead and
Brand it now.
yeah. But definitely want to have you guys on again at another time. This was fun. We'll go ahead and wrap it here. And so thank you all so much in the chat for joining us. Thank you all for the
Thank you, chat.
Thank you guys.
TLJ Screwjob, Esme, everybody that put in there. Really do appreciate it. Helps a lot. I think Nova Zero also put in a couple of. Sorry if I'm missing
thank
anyone.
you.
Rogue, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
to everybody.
Every little bit helps.
What was it? The not a bug guy.
Yeah, not a bug. He always comes by to say hi.
I have him on
Guys,
at some point in time
thank
too.
you.
He
We love
knows a lot of
you.
stuff.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's
Appreciate
late.
y'all.
As
Yeah.
soon as this camera goes off, I might fall asleep.
We'll see about that.
I'm going to go have lunch.
And just remember, Lemoyne is a butter soft.
Conflict.
Good Lord.
That's
All
all
right.
you got to remember.
Take care. Have a good night, everyone. Be safe.
Good night.
All right, let's see.
That was awesome.
We're still live.
I like the part where we were talking.